Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Well, I choose to look at the last game when we talk about the weekend. Yeah, we'll talk about it all. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Rollo Insurance Studio. The A&M baseball team have now lost 4 of their last 5 conference games. All have been on the road. But Shane Sadeo yesterday was nails. We'll start it off here on the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. He's Olin Buchanan. I'm David Nuño. OB, not the couple of weekends I was hoping for, you know, from a baseball perspective. The reality is, had these happen at different times throughout the year, right? So let's say you lose Ole Miss a month ago and you lose LSU last week. Easier to stomach. But when you lose back-to-back series, it is the SEC. It's on the road. Maybe the way they lost them as well, where they're striking out a bunch.
boy, they strike out a lot.
They're not walking like they normally do. And then, you know, I said it last week. I'll say it again. Uncharacteristic ways of losing. How often is Evan Oschenbeck not just nails? And he struggled a little bit on Friday.
Yeah, but the bigger issue on Friday, again, is what did you score? 3 runs?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that's prides itself on its offensive power and, you know, not getting the key hits, striking out too often with guys on base. And even if you make contact, you know, something good might happen. And yeah, so they'd lost 4 out of 5, and they salvaged it. And yesterday, and I think the thing that I come away from that makes me somewhat optimistic is that Coach Schlossnagle said, you know, we've got a problem with starting pitching, so I'm going to do something I haven't done.
Right.
And I'm going to start Shane Sadeo. And he came out and looked like a dog.
Freaking nails.
So
America.
That's something that gives you that you know gives you some momentum, some hope, and all these things. But the bottom line is, you lost back-to-back series. And yeah, they're on the road, but they're also the teams that were struggling. Struggled before you played them for the most part, and with LSU's case, I think struggled after. And so you ask yourself, I mean, you could be Pollyanna and say, oh, everything's fine, everything's great, and this is baseball. But at some point, you have to look at things for what they are and say, they're not playing good baseball right now. And that happens during the course of a long season. There are peaks and valleys. But typically you don't want your valleys to come toward the end of the season, especially when you're in a race for the conference championship. And maybe I'm just too old school, but I think there's still value. I think you still play for championships.
Sure.
Beyond the national championship.
But I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to reset something that I said last week.
Okay.
Exactly at this time. Are you familiar with the LSU 2023 national championship team?
Yeah.
They're pretty good, right? Last year, at this time, they lost back-to-back series at this exact same time to Auburn and to Mississippi State. At this exact same time. I just say that when you're in the middle of a slump, it freaking sucks, right? It does. It doesn't mean that teams have figured out A&M completely. It means that they figure something out to pitch to them, right? And like a boxing match or a basketball game where they call fouls or what, you've got to adjust to what they're doing. And I believe in this staff adjusting. Does that mean they're going to win a national championship? I don't know. Right? Do I think they're going to figure things out? Yes, I do. I do think they'll figure things out. And because what do they probably have to do? Win one more game, 2 more games for sure to stay a host seed. You're hopefully going to be at home for the regional and super regional, right? I'm fairly sure that's going to happen.
Look, I'm not an expert on this stuff, so I could be talking completely out of turn here, but it seems I can't imagine that they're not already have a host seed wrapped up.
Right.
Now you want to get in the top 8, of course, but you may already have that wrapped up. I mean, for goodness sakes, would losing a series or even get swept, which I don't think they will, but by Arkansas, that would be the thing that would put you over. If
they don't lose at home. So I think they're going to win this series against Arkansas. I think Arkansas almost lost yesterday, but almost isn't good enough because A&M almost won on Friday night. But I do believe that at home they're better, right? On the road is difficult. They lost 3 road series this year in the SEC. Florida, LSU, Ole Miss. To start the year and to close out the year on the road. I think they're a better team at home. I think they'll be a host. They'll be one of the best 8, right? They're going to get a regional. They're going to get a super regional, and they're going to find their way to Omaha. Now, do they need to figure some things out? Absolutely. Do I believe that we're going to see what we saw? What was it, 1 of 13 on Friday night when the top 3 in the order struggled against Ole Miss? I don't think we're going to see that often.
I don't think you're going to see it often, but I would be – and I'm just trying to look at things, from all sides here. I would wonder in the last 6 games, the last 2 SEC series, just SEC games, what the top of your order's batting average is, right? I wonder what the batting average is with runners in scoring position, because it strikes me that it's been alarmingly subpar. Now, maybe it's not. Sometimes when I'm not covering it and I'm not keeping the notes myself, I might get off, and I'm just reacting to what I think I see instead of sometimes the numbers say no, you're wrong on that, and I acknowledge that. But that's to me that's what's alarming is it seems like the top of your order, which was so productive, is really struggling over in the last 6 games, and it also really even 7 if you want to throw in that last game against Georgia.
Right. Ant-Man says 4 of the last 5 they've lost, 4 out of the last 6. Both can be true.
Right, until the last. I think he said 4 of the last 5, but I said until the last game. It was 4 or 5 until the last game yesterday. So, I think that's the concern. On the other side, again, as I mentioned, the fact that, Schlossnagle said, look, we got to do something different, and he starts Sadeo, and the way Sadeo responded. Now, see, that's another thing to say, okay.
We worried about pitching? Uh-oh, look what we got here.
Right. And I mean, I love that. And I think even if the numbers that I speculate, that I wonder about, are dramatically subpar, even if they are. I mean, if I'm right on that, it doesn't mean they're going to remain that way. Again, you go through peaks and valleys throughout a long season. You just typically don't want it to happen toward the end of the year. But to your point, well, that was the situation with LSU too, and they won the national championship. In the year before that, it was kind of the situation with Ole Miss throughout the season. Then they won the national championship.
And the year before that, Mississippi State also lost one late.
So you don't panic. It's like we said before, it's okay to get frustrated. But if you're willing to panic and just give up on it, then baseball probably isn't the sport you should be following.
Well, and again, let's look at the totality of the season. Look, there's no doubt that right now I'm a little concerned, right? I'm not saying I'm not concerned by any stretch, but I feel like Jay Slavolette, Braden Montgomery, Gavin Grahovac have proven to be elite offensive players that will get it in check. This team does have a propensity to strike out a lot, but they also have a propensity to walk a lot. So let's get that number back. And then, again, what was the biggest question entering any of these series? How's the pitching going to be? Ryan Prager pitched well enough.
Oh, they should have won with Prager's pitch.
And Sadeo was fantastic. So 2 of your 3 starts were fantastic. Okay. So, and your offense sputtered a little bit. I think offense will come back around because that's what you look at the entire season. That's what you've gotten.
Well, you're certainly hoping so. And by looking at the season in its totality, it would lead you to believe that, again, they're in a slump and they'll break out of it in a big way. And maybe every game they play from now on is at home until, the College World Series.
Right.
Okay? So that's something to feel good about. Sadeo's pitching is something to feel good about. Prager's pitching is something to feel good about. And the fact that you've over the course of Caden Kent, and the fact that over the course of the season, your offense has been not just good but spectacular more often than not is something to feel good about. You just want to start seeing them put the ball in play with guys in scoring position, things like that.
You went 2 of 3 against Arkansas.
You made some defensive issues.
You've had some issues, no doubt. But let's just say you win 2 of 3 against Arkansas this weekend.
Well,
you're feeling great again, right?
Yeah. I mean, and as well you should.
So you win 2 of 3 and you win the SEC tournament. Okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the SEC tournament. So that's not going to be the games that really matter. I don't think the SEC tournament matters that much if you know you're in.
Right. Let's go a little bit deeper onto Sadeo. A couple of notes that come out. Career high 7 scoreless innings, 3 hit baseball, 4th win of the season. Matched career highs for strikeouts with 6 and retired the final 10 Ole Miss players that he pitched against. Let's see. Just his 2nd start of the year. The last time was way back when in February, OB. 7 scoreless innings that day.
Against McNeese?
I think that's right.
I think I saw somebody say that.
Ole Miss 3 hits. Only twice did an Ole Miss player reach scoring position. Not once did they get to third base. That's from Richard Zane's article last night.
Yeah, he was excellent.
Fantastic.
There was a couple of hits that you held your breath on, but the park held them, and your outfielders caught them, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. So we'd like to hear from you. What are you thinking about the weekend, guys? Would love to hear from you. We've got some football topics. I'm going to ask this question now on the show, OB, and then we'll answer it. You'll answer it. I'll answer it. The people will answer it at 8:35. Can you love and or / hate teams the same way with the same energy? Okay? I'm going to ask that question. I was listening to Jake Crane over the weekend, and somebody made a comment about 2 teams that he loved and hated, yada, yada. And I want us to, evaluate and just give us your thoughts. So can you hate multiple teams the same way? Can you love multiple teams the same way? We're going to get into that at around 8:35. If you have an answer for that, 979-693-1150. You can call or text that answer. It's Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of mornings by going to texags.com/coffee, and you get yourself some free coffee today. Let's think of a number. So Shane today went 6 innings, right? 6 strikeouts. Should we do
7 innings, 7 or 6? 6 for
seven,
strikeouts
6.
Or 7 for his innings, scoreless innings.
Let's do 6 scoreless. Or let's do 6 strikeouts. Let's do 6
strikeouts.
All right, 6. The 6th texter to text in the word coffee will get themselves a free bag of TexAgs coffee. Let's go around the room and say hello to the people. Nick Savage is behind the glass. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
Hey, that was a good howdy. I like that one.
It's a good morning. I'm kind of like you, David. You're talking about, yes, the weekend is frustrating, but you got to look at the totality of the season. I think A&M played so well in the beginning of the season to kind of not, to afford a few weekends like they've had, to drop a few series. And it's like you said, it's concerning. OB, you always say that doesn't mean you can't be a little frustrated. I completely agree. But then, that's where I go, okay, well, you got to remember how they've played throughout the season. I still feel pretty good of where they're at. And like y'all are saying, I don't think there's any question that they're going to host a regional and probably play the rest of the games here outside of the SEC tournament at Olsen Field at Bluebell Park.
And hopefully all the way to
Omaha.
Omaha.
Yep.
Omaha. Peyton Manning.
Yep, I knew you were going there. All right, Nick, thank you very much, buddy. Hey, by the way, Nick, can you, and I didn't ask you to prepare anything for here, but you want to give us a little update if you can, or if not, I can go to Eric on A&M softball.
Oh, David, come on. I prepared for it.
Blake, I know that's your team.
That graphic. Yeah, Aggie softball.
They got screwed.
Yeah, they kind of did, but they did get the regional hosts that we were expecting them to get, just not the 16th and final regional spot. But they draw UAlbany as well as Penn State and Texas State in the regional. But just it's so crazy that, Trish Ford, year 2, bam, right back in the tournament, bam, hosting. So we love to see that from Aggie softball. Bam.
Bam, you get to play Texas in the Super Regional.
Bam.
I feel like I'm watching Emerald Lagasse.
Hey, so they screwed A&M here because A&M had a better record than Alabama. They won the head-to-head, but yet Bama was ranked higher.
I believe they were like the 13th overall seed or something like that, pretty close to that.
Of course, they had to set it up for Texas and Texas A&M to play. Of course, that's what they had to do.
Is that what is?
Yeah, if A&M wins their regional, they'll probably head off.
You see, I love that if it's organic.
Yeah, but don't force it, bro.
But don't force it, especially with what you just told me. You won the series and you're ahead of them. What's the records like? Overall,
do you
records?
have the A&M softball records handy for us, Nick? I know that softball kind of struggled down the stretch a little bit. I recognize that. Again, the totality of the season, they had a better record than Bama, and they beat Bama on the road.
And in the standings, I know they're ahead of them.
Yeah.
So in every really real metric, you beat Alabama, but Alabama's higher because they want to set up
A&M was 40-13, by the way, regular season record.
And Bama was?
Alabama was what, Kay? 33-17.
Okay.
See,
estúpido, de verdad.
It's not that I think they're afraid of Texas or anything. It's not that at all. It's just like
the lack of respect.
It's if it's organic, great. Look forward to that matchup. But when it's obviously forced, that to me just compromises the whole tournament. It makes you wonder why would you rank them? Why would you even bother ranking?
Stupid.
Why would you even bother?
We're gonna have
ranking?
Trisha on the show, and I'm sure she'll be very polite, but she got screwed. I'm gonna speak for her. The team got screwed. It's not cool, and we've seen it too many times. And I'm not saying there's a conspiracy that there's a bunch of dudes at NASA like planning our demise. I'm not saying that, but sometimes I think a lack of really interpreting the situation happens with these committees, and these committees are stupid. And they say it that way, it's stupid. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Somebody who's not stupid. Eric Casares. Eric, good morning, buddy.
Good morning. Hey, if I had $1 for every time that Texas A&M got screwed in a committee poll, I think I'd be pretty rich. It happened again.
Yeah, I would never trust a committee. I've said it before. Never trust a committee when it comes to Texas
Never
A&M.
trust a panel when it comes to athletics, right? College football playoffs, NCAA tournaments. They just don't trust them. All right, we got quiet here. We got a little silent. Eric, please.
Well, I wanted to, obviously good news and bad news for Aggie softball. We started talking about it. And, to add on to the bad news a little bit, they did fall to Florida 7-3 in the SEC tournament semifinal on Friday night. But some good news that came out of it. Shout out to Texas A&M softball junior, Coco Woolley, and sophomore Kennedy Powell. They both got recognized for being SEC all-tournament team. So that was good that came out of that. And then Selection Sunday, we talked about them hosting the Bryan College Station Regional. This will mark their 16th time to host the regional in program history. First to host at Davis Diamond since 2018. This will be their 34th appearance and 22nd straight appearance in the tournament with a 91-73 record in NCAA postseason action. They also have a 32-8 record when hosting a regional games. And then they will host Albany Friday at 5:30 p.m. So bring it this week and let's get it going.
Let's get it going. What else do you have for us, buddy?
Yeah, so wanted to go into the, give another shout out. Number 19 ranked Aggie Golf. They are going to be in kicking off the NCAA regional championships in Stanford in California. Top 5 teams each of the 6 regionals will be advancing to the championships, which will be held on May 24th through 29th. This will be their 49th appearance postseason, 20 out of the last 21 times, 31 since 1989. Looking to claim number 4 regional crown. They won in 96, 2018, and 2019. They're in a 14-team field ranked in the top 25 with other teams like Florida State, Ole Miss, Illinois. So big field there, and we'll be rooting for them. That kicks off today.
Yep. Hopefully Cortana and the guys can get it done. I know we've got some women's tennis to get into.
Mm-hmm. They won again.
Yeah, they did. I was hoping Eric would say something about it.
Knocked off defending champion
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Wow, there you go.
Yeah. Outstanding. The Dreamweaver getting it done again. I think that's the
I got to
third,
get him on the show this week.
I think it's the 3rd consecutive year they've advanced to, the final 8?
Yeah.
Of this, doing it 3 years in a row.
3 years in a row.
Going
buddy.
on the road to upset the number 1 or the defending national champs.
Yeah, number one, I believe, is,
I don't know
is it Texas?
Yeah, maybe. I don't. North Carolina wasn't number one, but they were defending national champion. You did it on the road.
Yeah.
Third consecutive year.
Congratulations to the Dreamweaver. We'll get him on the show this week, catch up with him. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. We'll come back with some more OB. I got a couple of different things I want to get into here. We'll get into some Heisman odds and Iowa State's AD making a comment that I want you to kind of analyze, if you don't mind. Right now, though, we're talking about the Association of Former Students. If you're looking for a reason to come back to Aggieland or already in Aggieland and you're looking for a great opportunity, you need a job, you look at the Association of Former Students. They're seeking to hire professionals to join their team in positions in fundraising, former student programs, and much, much more. They are the nation's premier alumni association and the oldest organization in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss opportunities to help out the association with Howdy Socials, Aggie Rain Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service. If you're interested in joining the best team out there, if you want to get information for somebody that you think would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/associationjobs to apply and get more information on each position. Well, welcome back to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour presented by, who's it presented by, OB?
The Go Hour is presented by CC Creations.
That's right. I had forgotten for a moment. We're here in this Rollo Insurance Studio. And so somebody on the boards made me aware of this commentary, and I just want to hear what you think. The Iowa State athletic director says the Big Ten and the SEC are going to eat their own. And I'm going to kind of read you the quote, and then I'll let you kind of tell me how you feel about it. The CFP is just another example of our industry running amok. His name is Jamie Pollard, by the way. Cyclone Tailgate Tour kickoff event in West Des Moines, I guess. They're trying to swallow the ACC and the Big 12. I wish them well. No, you don't. And all because they're going to eat their own. You have to look at their evolution. It isn't the SEC and Big Ten. It's those who have all the gold make all the rules. So if I was a member of the Big Ten or the SEC, I'd start looking over my shoulder and wondering, when is the day going to come when the top of the SEC is not going to want the bottom of the SEC? I don't think that's the case, OB.
Yeah, I've said this before, that for years and years, decades, Vanderbilt did nothing with their sports.
Mm-hmm.
They had a president that even said, told the reporters there, because I know the reporters up there, we take we did a survey, only 25% of our student body cares about athletics, so we only give 25% of the money we get from the SEC toward athletics.
Right.
What do you know? In the last couple of years, they're starting to put money into their athletics and redoing their stadium and everything. I believe, I have no proof to this, I believe that somebody from the SEC told them, you can either start investing in your athletic program or we can kick you out. And they're investing in their athletic program.
Football's stadium renovations, baseball obviously is
athletic. So the locker rooms and workout. So Vanderbilt finally. Now, why now? After all these years and mismanagement, and they don't care about athletics, why now are they suddenly putting money in? And you say, well, they're just now getting more money. No, they've been getting a ton of money from the SEC. Everybody's getting $50 million. Vanderbilt does nothing with it for athletics until the last couple of years. Why is that? Why now? I believe
they were going to be
that they're told, look, if you're not going to invest in athletics, there are plenty of teams in the ACC that are just begging to get in. There are plenty of teams in the Big 12 that would jump at the opportunity to be in. And so Vanderbilt being a charter, but we don't want to kick you out because you're a charter member. So I think that's what's going on. So what he's saying, I believe, probably has some merit to it. If you don't, that doesn't mean you have to win 6 games every year.
No, but I do think you have to have bad teams in your conference.
Yeah,
not everybody's
going to be.
Right?
Yeah.
Did you see the report over the weekend? And I don't know if it was from the Kansas City Star, I believe, that there's rumors out there that the SEC is interested in Kansas, Virginia, North Carolina. There was another school. I can't remember which one it was. Kansas caught me off guard.
Yeah, it would catch me off guard too. Maybe you like their basketball. Their football's getting a little bit better. It's a sparsely populated state. North Carolina doesn't shock me at all. That's a pretty populated state that you're not in. Virginia is the same. I would take Virginia Tech or Virginia. Virginia Tech, I think, fits the SEC better.
Sure.
Who else would be out there? I don't know, Maryland, but they're in the Big 10, so maybe they're content there. Maybe it's another, at least if you got Kansas, you got the deal with Missouri. You know, they used to have, I don't know what, and the other ones wasn't Florida State or Clemson, right?
I don't remember those. Maybe it was Clemson. I don't remember. I'm trying to find the article that I saw. I'm not seeing it right in front of me.
But North Carolina would not surprise me at all. I think North Carolina, everybody wants North Carolina.
Sure.
Maybe you'd take North Carolina State, you know, if you could. Kansas, to me, that surprises me, but okay. Yeah, your basketball would be pretty good, would be really good. But the fourth one?
Kansas and the SEC, I just don't think about it. But from a basketball perspective, you're exactly right. It's certainly
and they're
make
getting,
sense.
Of course, basketball really doesn't pay the bills, but they're getting better in football. At least they're investing in it. But can they maintain that? That would be the big question there. So, I can't imagine who else you would want. But I do. North Carolina is the prize. If you could, whoever gets North Carolina, that's the prize, because even more so than like Florida State, you're already in Florida.
Yep.
And then Virginia, like I said, Virginia Tech makes a lot more sense to me.
Somebody here says West Virginia is the other school that they'd be looking at.
Again, very sparsely populated, but okay, at least they're kind of in the geographical footprint. If it was up to me, I would go all in on Virginia Tech and North Carolina. Maybe Virginia Tech, Virginia, North Carolina, NC State. Yep. But though I don't think West Virginia and Kansas would be of that interest to me. I would rather have Clemson and Florida State than those two, and then add, if I could, a team in North Carolina and a team in Virginia.
But they would never do that to a school and add two teams from the same state. OB?
Yeah. Well, since they've already. They got two in Tennessee for now.
For now, unless you believe what that gentleman said earlier, the athletic director there. Let's hit a break here. That was Iowa State's athletic director.
Yeah, he's a good one too.
Yeah. We'll come back. I want to get into that topic, and I want to hear what people have to say about it. So, can you love a team, more than one team, the same way, the same energy, right? In the same sport, right? Obviously, you can love the Cowboys and the Mavs. By the way, shout out to the Mavs and the Stars.
Playing good ball.
Luka Doncic. That's my guy.
Yeah.
Real Madrid legend, OB. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I think I've heard it mentioned.
Yep. All right, let's talk about Rollo Insurance, the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. An independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They are the best out there. It doesn't matter who you talk to. You're going to get that same customer service because Jason and Jackson Rollo have established just pristine customer service and the kind of people that you can run into at HEB. You can talk to them on the streets, and they're going to be your buddies because that's what they are. They're my buddies, right? All those guys. Morgan and I had several conversations last week. I'm telling you, the folks at Rollo Insurance are looking out for your best interests, and the best part about it is they are local. They are right here. They can take care of you at any point. They've got 53 offices in the great state of Texas, but they're all over the country, guys. They got it all over the place. The headquarters are, as I mentioned, on Highway 6 there in College Station. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to RolloInsurance.com. That is 888-44-ROLLO, or go to RolloInsurance.com. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio here in the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, I was at the gym Saturday morning and just kind of popping.
Of course you were.
Yeah, that's what I do. It was 7. I woke up at 6, hoping the Go had to wait. Sorry to make it awkward. And I'm listening to a couple college football things just to catch up, see what people are saying about. And I was listening to Jake Crane, and he had a caller on the show talk about how he loves 2 teams from the same area and he loves them both the same. And Jake's like, you can't love 2 teams from, you got to pick one or the other. And I think it was 2 NHL teams, if I remember correctly. And it got me thinking, can you love 2 teams with the same energy, okay, and in the same sport, right? And can you hate multiple teams? And I kind of agree with what they were saying on the show. I think you can hate teams with the same energy. I don't know if I hate teams in the same sport with the same energy, right? Like, for instance, in this discussion, I dislike, hate, whatever you want to call it, the University of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel that way about LSU. I don't hate LSU the way I hate Texas, but I hate them a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't hate them with the same energy, but they're close.
Right.
Lane Kiffin has made that rivalry, Ole Miss, one-sided rivalry recently, by the way. At least with Jimbo, the rivalry is more with Jimbo, but he has taken shots at A&M. I don't like them. I want them to lose. But it's not the same energy. But I think you can get close hating. I do not think you can love. For instance, I grew up loving the University of Miami and A&M. But A&M was always number 1. And now that I went to school here and my whole life is around A&M, there's nothing about, and I think the tie goes to who would you root for if they played against each other?
Yeah.
And I lived that once. So I am one of the few people in the world that loves the Rockets and the Mavericks. I can tell you why it's okay in my place, okay? It's okay for me because I grew up a Rockets fan, but my professional career started because of the Dallas Mavericks and the relationships I have in that organization. So when the two have played in the playoffs, it has been difficult for me. I rooted for the Mavs because that's where I think my adult relationships are, right? So I think it's possible, but there is a tie, and the tie goes to the head-to-head.
I agree. I had a stepfather who raised me from the time I was like 10, and there's no doubt in my mind he loved me like a son, but then he actually had a son. And there's no doubt in my mind that he loved his son, rightly so, more than me, because that was his son from his, from blood. The point is, A&M is like the blood. That's who you love. A&M. That's your, that's family, the real family. So I can love another team. I don't think I love another college football team. I kind of like Tennessee, but only because when I lived up there, I knew people that liked them. I kind of like Auburn because I know people that like them that I like. The person I probably love as much as anybody in the world loves LSU, and I still hate them.
Right.
But I don't hate them like I hate Texas. And it's funny because I didn't used to hate Texas. I don't hate Texas as a program as much as I just hate them as a fan population.
No, I hate them as a program. Yeah.
I hate their fan population, which makes me hate their program. But I hate Alabama, and I hate Notre Dame. And I think with hatred, I'm able to hate Alabama, Notre Dame, Texas. Those are probably the 3, and I hate them almost equally, and it probably depends on circumstances. Who I hate the most in a particular. I might hate one of them in a given year more than I would in another given year.
So I can hate I think based on, so for instance, the Mavs Rockets example, I felt that that was closer to the time that I'm remembering. It was a 7-game series, and I believe the Mavs beat the Rockets in Game 7 by like 41 points. I believe that was. But I felt that the Mavs were closer to a championship than the Rockets were, even though they were meeting in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I think that can play a role in it as well when it comes to love. Filberto on the YouTube page says you can love more than one school. I don't think you can love them the same, though. And by the way, I might push back a little bit on...
One's your stepchild and one's your child.
I think you can love your stepchild as just like your own. I believe that.
Well, you can, but I still think there's going to be a difference, especially if your kid's in your life. To me, it's just natural.
But I think for sports, you cannot love A&M and what's another school that could potentially, like my example, Miami. You can't.
Arkansas.
You cannot. They play each other.
Tennessee.
You can't. No, you can't.
Mississippi State.
No.
Auburn.
No, you can't name one that I say, okay, I get it.
Because these are the teams that are kind of like similar to A&M, Clemson.
No.
Virginia Tech.
You can like them a lot and root for them.
Mississippi State.
And you can even cheer out loud if they're playing somebody else, right? You can and like get it. And if they have a chance for a championship, they kind of become your team that year. I get it. You don't love them the same as A&M. You can't.
Exactly. I love the Dallas Cowboys. God help me. God help me for loving the Dallas Cowboys. And no team do I hate more than the Philadelphia Eagles. But I hate the Redskins or the Commanders. I'm sorry. I read something today. I read something yesterday that there's like a Native American population that wants them to take the Redskins back.
Yep.
So I hate the Commanders. I hate Washington. I hate the Giants. I detest the Steelers. I detest the 49ers and the Packers, but I abhor the Philadelphia Eagles. All things Philadelphia except their cheesesteak. Everything else, there's no point in that place even existing to me.
And I believe you can learn to hate teams more, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, if there's a villain, if Draymond Green has cost you
you're talking about Lane Kiffin.
There you go. Yeah, I'm talking about Lane Kiffin. But you cannot love two teams the same. I don't believe it.
I got a hypothetical for you, David. So what if you are from Houston and you grew up as a Houston fan your whole life, but you got your education at A&M? Then what would you say to that person?
I don't understand.
He's saying that you grew up in Houston, so you like UH because you grew up in Houston, and then you went to A&M. To me,
can you change affiliation? Absolutely, because I change affiliations because I worked for the Mavs.
I'm going to cancel myself for here. To me, Eric, that means you grew up and you kind of dated the homely girl, and then you started dating the hot girl, and you said, you know what? I think I like the hot girl better. I'm going to stick with the hot girl.
That's between A&M and U of H, right?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were doing a Dallas-Houston thing again.
UH stands for homely.
Kelvin Sampson's a big fan of this show. He's coming after us. So.
I like Kelvin.
Yeah.
I really do.
I do. No, so I think.
But if you're talking about
their situations can change.
Football program,
right? For instance, sorry to say this is going to upset some people. If your kid plays for an SEC school and they play A&M in a game, under that situation outside of football, I don't think you can do this in football, you can root for the other school.
Oh, absolutely. Last week I wrote an article about Shane Rink, and he's look, I'm a Texas Longhorn. He said I love Texas, but I'm an Aggie too. And when his kid's playing,
he's rooting for the Aggies.
He's going to be rooting for them. Of course, you do that, and everybody understands.
Do you remember? I think we talked about this on the show a couple years ago when people were asking Arch Manning who he was going to root for. The Colts or the Saints in the Super Bowl back in, 2011, 2012, whatever it was. And he's like, my son's the freaking quarterback of the Colts. Of course I'm rooting
for my son.
It's like stupid.
Because blood is thicker than water.
So you can hate. Now, if you were to say, these are the teams that I hate, like with every bone in my body, who are they?
In all sports or?
All sports.
Okay,
you can put them all.
Eagles. Lakers. Texas, Alabama, and Oklahoma. Texas and Notre Dame.
Eric, who are the teams you hate?
Okay, easily Eagles, Packers, 49ers, Suns in the NBA because
Suns.
It's the whole Dallas and Suns rivalry from 2 years ago with
that's
the
Suns and that.
That's a real rivalry.
Devin Booker talking all that crap when they were up, and then Luka Doncic humbling him in Game 7. So I've always had a
okay. All right.
It's a rivalry.
It's
just playoffs.
Washington Giants. Anybody in the NFC East, I hate.
Right.
You can't hate them all the same. You can't.
Rockets. I'm just naming teams I don't like. Like genuinely I don't like.
But who do you? There's a lot of teams you don't like. I'm talking about hate.
Oh, okay.
Just hate with every fiber of your body.
Let me give you an example.
There's one team that I just can't stand. Philadelphia Eagles.
Right. Okay. If the Eagles and the Giants are playing, I'm rooting for injuries. Are you allowed to say that anymore?
Honestly, I haven't ever seen a situation where I'm like, you know what? I hope Texas wins this game. Ever. There's never been Now I'm sure there's a scenario where it could help A&M.
Yeah.
And maybe in that instance, I'm like, oh gosh, but I'm not going to watch the game. But I've never. I want Barcelona to lose every game by 50. I want the Sips to lose every game by 50. Who else do I hate like that? Because I don't hate Ole Miss like that. I don't.
Yeah, but I hate them. It's weird because I grew up a huge Texas fan. My dad was a big Texas fan, God rest his soul. And and I came here. I told people when I first got here, my two favorite teams are Texas A&M and Texas in that order. And I'd root for Texas and state pride and all this. Their fans made me change.
Yeah.
I don't never had a problem with the program itself, with their fans, much like Alabama. I admire what Alabama does as a program. I didn't like Saban being so self-serving all the time, but what I really hated about Alabama is their fans.
All right, let's hit a break. I want to hear from the people in the next segment. So if you want,
but I hate the Eagles for everything they stand for.
I want to read this text real quick, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for reading it. Juan says the hate hour with OB and Nuño, and that would actually be the
damn right,
the whole hour.
The whole hour.
Like Garden.
The whole hour. WHOLE. The whole hour.
The whole hour.
The whole hour we're hating.
The whole. It's like whole.
We're hating on the whole. No, the whole would just be, HOLE. You're right.
Thank you very much.
I need an editor.
Hello? All right, everybody. We're talking Heritage Films here. They make documentary films, and you got to, talk about the teams that you hate. Could you imagine a documentary like of OB talking about all the teams he hates and kind of reasons for it? Like his sports documentary about his life and sports love and how he became an Aggie, right? He's an honorary Aggie. He loves A&M. He hates – You're an Aggie, buddy. In my eyes, you are an Aggie. There's no doubt about it. You could do a documentary about the sports love that you have. You could do a documentary about golf outings with your buddies, camping with your buddies. You could do it about your grandfather, your dad. They do it all at Heritage Films. They're an incredible company that Chance McClain runs out there. They do these documentaries that take about 8 to 10 weeks to finish. The editing, the videoing, the pictures, everything he puts together is first class. He also does a Yearflix, which is a smaller version of it, right? It's a 20-minute Q&A video that is more of like a benchmark video. You do one for your kids' freshman year at A&M. You do one their sophomore year at A&M. You do one when they get their Aggie ring. And when they graduate, 4-part series, boom, you got a Yearflix done with Chance and his crew. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. TexAgs Radio presented by David Garner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations, OB, David Nuño. I didn't say the date. People were probably confused. I didn't even say the name of the show. I did. They knew what show. Today is Monday, May 13th.
May 13th, yeah.
2024, believe it or not.
2024.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Eric Casares is there. Eric, you've got some text messages to read about the topic.
Yeah, so going to Colin in Austin, he said, as an Aggie living in Austin, I can absolutely say that I hate UT with a passion. If I lived in Baton Rouge, I might hate LSU with the same kind of passion because of the fans around me.
I don't think you would ever – here's what I believe, and this is just from being around Aggies for the last 30 years. I don't think there's any circumstances where the average Aggie would hate LSU as much as they hate Texas. Now they're going to hate them, but I just don't see it. I think it's a next level.
Now he brings up an interesting point. Living in Austin, adding to his hate. I also think living in another town can allow you to secondarily love a team. Right? I didn't love the Chargers when I lived in San Diego, but I had an appreciation for them because I was in town. Right? Like I think when you live in a market, OB, you work for TexAgs, you've become an Aggie, but like living here, if you kind of like the Aggies, you'd probably like them more.
Yeah, well, it'd go either one way or the other.
Yeah.
I just believe that I believe your average Aggie will detest LSU but abhor Texas.
Yep.
And I think that's been proven over how they tried to make LSU a rivalry. And it never reached the same venom as it does for Texas.
Right. Eric, what else, buddy?
Matt in Austin said, I agree with David. You can love two teams, but the tiebreaker is when they play each other. I grew up in North Carolina as a diehard Tar Heel fan back in the day, and then I went to Texas A&M to compliment of the Marine Corps. I always root for UNC unless they are playing the Aggies, and when the Ags when the Ags went to the Sweet 16 over UNC a few years back, I celebrated like no other, and I'll always hate Duke.
It was amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
What a game that was.
Hey, here's one for you. Can you love the Texans and the Cowboys? I feel like Mike sent out a text that he's from San Antonio, I believe, and I have to go back to it, but I believe can you like both?
Yeah.
If you live in College Station, I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think you can because being from Dallas, right? Back in the Oilers day, we never even thought about the Oilers. I mean, seriously. I know the people of Houston. I didn't know the people of Houston hated Dallas till I moved down here.
Right.
I'm telling you, people in Dallas never gave Houston or their teams a second thought because you didn't play them.
Well,
it was always Philadelphia, New York, Washington, and even St. Louis back when the Cardinals were in the division.
And to be fair, like I used to not like the Cowboys, right? In the 1800s, when you guys were winning Super Bowls, the Oilers couldn't win anything, right? So
yeah, how many Super Bowls have you experienced
in my life?
I know they won the AFL. Was your team winning?
I think they won the AFL championship.
No,
twice.
I'm saying Super Bowls because you just made a.
Oh, hey, your mic just cut out. That's unfortunate for you. I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna live in the 1800s, like you and Davy Crockett watched the Cowboys win a Super Bowl. It's cool. I get it.
At least we saw it.
Yeah, you did. That's right. Well, I don't know if you can see anymore.
Saw it 5 times. 5 times. I believe that's 5 more than every franchise in Houston's ever won.
And 5.
How many Super Bowls have your Houston teams been in? Oh, wait, they had to go to Tennessee to get in one, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So that's a 0.
That's a 0. Yeah.
The donut.
Hey, props to your Rangers. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. David Nuño here with Ryan Brauninger in studio. But let's go to the hotline. Jim Schlossnagle joining us here to talk about the weekend. Schloss, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, guys. We got back about 1:30 in the morning last night, so I apologize for not being in there with you.
All good, my friend. Just let's just talk about the weekend. Obviously, Friday, Saturday, not the way we wanted, but leaving on a high note yesterday with a great pitching performance.
Yeah, I think Coach Early was talking to the team before the game and the position players before the game, and I think we've had, even yesterday wasn't awesome. It was good, but it wasn't awesome. Probably had 3 or 4 of our worst offensive showings. We've probably only had 3 or 4 in the whole season for the most part, but they all happen to have been bunched in the last week. And yesterday we pitched our way through it. I thought Friday we pitched well. I don't normally like to go to Ashenbeck really before the 8th, but the way we were swinging it with 1 out in the 6th, I knew I was going to bring him in the 7th, so figured let's go to him right then, and that didn't turn out. So give credit to Ole Miss. They played great, played really well, pitched well. But I have full confidence in our players, and if we can keep the rain away this weekend, it should be a really fun weekend.
Coach, you said it was the worst week that y'all had offensively. I know you have a group of people that analyze this stuff. Has there been some kind of causation or correlation, or is it just like kind of coincidental that it all happened at once?
I don't think there's any causation. I mean, I think you got to give first to LSU. You got to give Gage Jump and Luke Coleman credit. Those are 2 of the best starters we've seen all year. Not take anything away from Riley Maddox's performance, but he's not those guys. He's an awesome competitor. He threw 3 pitches for strikes, but we've just been very uncharacteristic swinging. Well, like I said last week, kind of swinging a lot, chasing balls out of the strike zone. We haven't really struck out looking that much. Most of our swings have been chasing pitches. So I'm assuming it's a funk. We did have 14 runs last Sunday and 16 on Tuesday. A lot of those were walks, but yeah, we gotta tighten it up for sure moving forward. I have full confidence we will. And I think it's also, baseball well enough, Bronny, if you have 9 guys in a lineup, even when you're going great, there's at least 1 or 2 that are scuffling. And in this lineup, we can survive that. But we've had probably 3 or 4 scuffling. You take Teddy out, which is by no means an excuse to lose the series, but it is an extra bat. And even though Caden played well in his spot and Blake did okay, but yeah, we have multiple guys that I think just really pressing. And then Braden, for example, I think he had 4 of his last 5 at-bats. The ball has been hit over 106 miles an hour. He just hasn't been lifting them. They've been on the ground. So better now than 2 weeks from now, but, we got to get healthy and get to playing better. So, but I don't think there's anything scientific other than we're chasing the balls out of the strike zone.
And then what went into the conversations on Saturday night when you sat down with your coaching staff? Was there a conversation about choosing Shane to start on Sunday?
Not really. Shane was the obvious and super easy choice. In hindsight, obviously we could have gone to him. He has shown the ability to start a game, but it hasn't been this year. I think we did it maybe the first weekend because Tanner wasn't ready. But, Shane threw strikes, and Shane's got something on the ball. His fastball is better now than it ever has been. His breaking pitches are better than they were last year. And he certainly has that mentality you want. Honestly, he may have the very best mentality on our pitching staff in terms of aggression. I think Aschenbeck is. He just does it a different way. So, but that was an easy choice. I think the bigger conversation something that we've been talking about for the last couple years, and I don't like normally doing this because sometimes I think these things can, if you do them, you got to stick with them. You can't go back and forth. We brought Coach Early in the dugout. He's been talking about it for the last year or so about I think I could be more effective in the dugout. But, the NCAA rules only allow so many people to be a coach unless you're going to put a player out there. So, if you're going to look at something that maybe had an impact on the game yesterday, having Coach Early in the dugout where he could game plan with the hitters, not overcoach them, but just, hey, if you're 2 or 3 batters away, just have a conversation. Maybe that helped us a little bit. Targots did a great job coaching first base. So maybe, that's certainly something we're going to stick with. I don't believe if you watch these teams that move their base coaches around, or one guy does it for a couple games and they stop hitting, and the other guy goes like that. To me, those are panic moves that show red flags to the players. So we're going to keep this going moving forward. And if Ryan has to come in the game, then we'll put somebody else over there at first base.
Talking to Jim Schlossnagle here on TexAgs Radio. Schloss, if we can talk about Teddy Burton, how good was it to get him back out there and delivering the way he did?
It was just good for the psyche of our team. Teddy had been he'd been telling me that he's, I always say, hey, 1 to 10, man, like, just tell me how you feel. Don't say 9 if it's 7. And just about every day leading up to yesterday, it was like 7, 7.5. And then what was the fearful move? It wasn't hitting or actually really running. It was the mechanism in which he heard it, which was stretching at first base. And so I had already written a lineup out yesterday that didn't have him in it. And we took ground balls before the game, and he started moving around. And he said, Coach, today's the best day. I said, why don't you go out there and run with our trainer and see what you think? And then, obviously, hopefully we'll play good catch. You won't have to stretch, but you don't have to try and leg out any balls. Just see what you can do. So, A, I think it was good for all of us, but B, it lengthens our lineup. That spot came up a lot on the weekend. Guys get comfortable in spots in the lineup, and sometimes if you ask too much of them, it doesn't work out. So, I feel good about where he is, and hopefully he can get it fully past him because he can run. He can steal a base if you need to. He can drop a bunt on you and beat it out. But right now it's just swinging the bat.
Yeah, and Coach, you mentioned guys moving in the lineup whenever you have injuries. Do you think, and I know it only happens once a game, and we've talked a lot about this in the preseason, but do you think having Travis Chestnut in the 9-hole makes your lineup different than having him in the 8-hole?
I think it probably does. Number one, it's one more spot closer to like more RBI spot. He's even said to me, man, I really like it when Gavin's hitting behind me. I don't know if he feels like he gets better pitches or what. But yeah, you could certainly make an argument for that, with having him, sit down there. But I don't like to double up left or right. We can help it, especially back-to-back lefts, back-to-back rights. Right-handed hitters have seen right-handed pitching their entire career. But yeah, there's probably something to that.
And the Saturday game got away from y'all. It was the first time all season that y'all had been kind of put to the sword in that way. But I thought a big bright spot out of that, and maybe even for y'all as staff, was you put Zane Benmayev into an SEC game, and he came in and threw strikes. And, what does that do for his prospects going forward?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. He doesn't have the pure stuff of those other guys, but he's been a strike thrower in the midweek games, and we've given everybody else enough opportunity to, especially the younger guys, to show us they're capable of doing something, and whether it be getting knocked around or whether it be not throwing strikes, Zane has certainly bypassed them in the moment. I think those guys are going to have awesome careers, and they still have, we're probably going to need everybody. But, yeah, Zane was the highlight of that day. Isaac had an awesome sim game on Wednesday, actually the best he's ever pitched at A&M, and for whatever reason, it didn't turn out that way, and the game was out. Game was out of hand. They scored 5 2-out runs in the second or third inning on Justin. We're going to go back into the workshop on him. He pitched awesome against Georgia, who is as good of an offensive team as there is in our league. But his last 2 starts have been rough, and but we're not giving up on Justin. I mean, we're going to need him in some role to be good for us. But Zane was great, and certainly, and I thought Josh Stewart did a nice job this weekend. We didn't get the strikeout on Friday night that we were looking for with the runner at third base and 1 out, but he threw really well yesterday, and I think he's got a lot of growing confidence.
So what does the week look like now with no midweek, and Arkansas comes in on Thursday? As you guys look to, I'm sure you want to get Tanner Jones on the mound, maybe run Justin back out there in these midweeks. Now that there's no games, kind of what does your preparation look like before this final weekend?
Obviously be off today. We got in really, really late last night. Long drive from Oxford to Tupelo just to even get on the plane, and then we had to circle around some weather, I think, to get home. Guys will have off today. I haven't looked at the weather for tomorrow, but we'll have a light workout tomorrow, light workout on Wednesday, and then everybody's got to move up a day to pitch. So obviously, somebody's gonna. I probably won't mess with Prager. I will move him up to Thursday, more than likely. It's the weather forecast doesn't look so great right now, but it's a long way off still. I would have to think we would throw Shane on the third game, and then we'll see about the middle game. A lot of it will be dependent on when we think we have to play in the conference tournament. So probably take them one at a time, and playing next Tuesday and playing the following Wednesday are very different. So it's going to get interesting, that's for sure.
Schloss, a couple weeks in a row, I've asked you about Caden Kent. He keeps making a case to get more at-bats.
Okay, where are you going to hit him? If Teddy Burton's healthy, who's coming out?
Right.
I mean, he's doing an awesome job. He's doing an awesome job at exactly what we need him to be, and it's he can play all 4 infield spots. He's doing great. I mean, he's really doing great. He's got a great attitude. If something happens to somebody, Grahovic's actually pretty banged up. He's getting, he's had that left shoulder problem that flared up in the last week. He's going to get injection today. And those things, you normally need another one about once every 3 months. So, if something were to happen to Gavin, then Caden goes. Something happens to Ali, Caden's right there. So it's not a statement on him being not as good as those guys. It's how good those other players are. And Kent's awesome. He's great. And he has his value to our team is incredible.
Coach, Caden Sorrell last Sunday against LSU kind of gets you guys going in that big inning with a triple. Then he homers in the Sunday game. I know he had some at-bats late where he had some freshman moments. But, again, this kid just keeps going to another level. When his interactions day-to-day in the dugout, have they changed from the first part of the season now that he's an everyday guy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm not, I don't pay attention to that stuff too much. He's pretty quiet. He's got a lot of quiet confidence. He'll show some emotion every now and then, but he's got some Braden Montgomery in him in terms of, he doesn't get overly upset or overly excited. He does beat himself up a little bit too long after an at-bat, so I think he'll grow out of that. But he's a good player. I mean, good defender. He's really doing better against the lefties. Shot that ball the other way yesterday. Obviously, the homer's cool, but when you see a young player like Hayden shot last at bat yesterday was, I don't think I've ever seen Mike Early so excited. That's in that bat where he shot, stayed on that tough lefty, hit the ball hard the other way foul, and then hammered the ball in the 6 hole. And I think Caden Sorrell couldn't physically do that when he got here. And now, he hit that line drive, but I think with 2 strikes over shortstop. So as soon as you start seeing a young player doing that, then you know you got something special.
Schloss, we appreciate it, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, have a great day. Gig 'em.
Jim Schlossnagle there on the hotline. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Brauninger and I are going to talk about the weekend, get his perspective on it. Also, there's something we have ignored on the show. I don't know what that is. Something we maybe have been teasing. We'll have a little bit more information on that. If you've been watching, let me say this. If you're listening only, get to a YouTube page or get to texags.com so you can see what we're kind of hinting at. But regardless, make sure
I'm going to put it on Twitter.
You are? Okay. So maybe something we're wearing. Maybe. We'll talk about that when we come back. A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. It's the place to go when you're looking for a new vehicle, when you need to find the right vehicle for your family, when you need to find the right vehicle for your son or your daughter who's about to start driving. Hello, I'm in that same conversation right now. When you need to get a bigger vehicle for your car or you want to downsize, right? You need something small because your kids have gone out to college. When you have those situations in life, you want to go somewhere you can trust and somewhere that you know you're going to get a good deal, and that's Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Great pricing, great trade-in value, great customer service. Great. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing for a long, long time. If you are looking for a vehicle right now, that's the place to go. If you're going to think about it later on this summer or whenever, make sure you have them in the back of your mind. 15-minute drive, Brauninger, Caldwell, short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right, welcome back into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Bronny's with me here in the studio. Bronny, great shirt.
Nice, yes. Same
quality shirt, bro. Yeah. That's like, and the hat?
Yeah, these are. I'm a big fan of the Old Sarge logo.
Yeah.
And we've seen some stuff with, is it men and women's golf or just men's golf? But golf has used the logo on some of their stuff, and I always enjoy it when I think you have a pullover or a shirt.
I have a shirt, yep.
Yeah, and I think Dalton may have had a hat. With
Nick's got a hat. Nick's wearing it right now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Nick, pop your beautiful face up there.
That's not available.
That is not available. I don't know if these are becoming available, but
they are.
Wow, what a segue.
That. See, look at that.
Do you have something to read?
I just got a couple of notes here. So this hat, this shirt, and I think some other stuff is going to be available. And in fact, I'm going to find it whenever Brian starts talking. So here's a couple of things. It's going to be available exclusively at Bluebell Park on Thursday. Okay?
Well, just hope it don't rain.
Yeah, well. And it's supposed to be, depending on how many they sell on Thursday, on 12thman.com on Friday. So when they are out at Bluebell, it'll be available through the weekend. Depends on inventory, obviously, right? So it's really only available for sure Thursday. And then if it sells out, you ain't going to get it on 12thman.com.
Old Sarge is back.
Old Sarge is back. And just kind of describe it while I look for some other stuff that might be available.
Oh, where's the, because we all had something else in here. Oh, we got these sweet gift bags. So, yeah, it's Old Sarge with a baseball in his right hand. Oh, we got like these Yeti.
The amount of water I'm going to drink from this bad boy right here.
This logo is really well done. I like that logo a lot. And, yeah, I thought it was cool, man. And they picked a good time to do it, obviously, with the way the team has played this year. And, this is a good study in, like, business marketing. A lot of folks like the Old Sarge logo and then, like, opportune time to release it and all this kind of stuff. So
look at this. This is fantastic right here. So
it's like a little golf towel.
Yeah.
So you want me to hold that up so people?
Yeah. Let's do it as a team. There you go. So you can get that.
Where we at, Nick?
There he goes. In the hizzy. Texas A&M baseball. You can get the Old Sarge look at Bluebell Park starting Thursday. And then again, if there are any leftovers, 12thman.com. Exclusive, small inventory. They're just making it, for this.
Hey, that towel, if A&M is able to lock up postseason play at Bluebell, you're going to want to bring one, right? Because it's going to get real hot.
Real hot.
Be a good sweat towel.
So let's talk about it. What do they need to do to ensure their top 8 seed?
Yeah, I think just one more win. I mean, their RPI, it took a little bit of a hit this weekend, but I think it was number 3 still.
Okay.
So they're number 5 in the D1 baseball poll. And Eric, if you want to just search NCAA baseball RPI, I think they're number 3.
Nick just yelled at you.
RPI 2. Very nice. Nick, you're always on top of things. Very nice. So, Eric, no more homework assignment. Nick did it for you. RPI number 2. You're playing RPI number 4 in Arkansas. So, again, like how much movement are you going to have at that? You could get swept by Arkansas and your finals record is 42-13. You're 25-0 out of conference. They may have already done enough to lock up a national seed. You don't want to like tote that line. I think we saw what just happened whenever you limp to a finish line for softball. They got royally screwed.
They got
royally screwed. And I'd love to hear some NCAA representative talk about how A&M got the 16 and Bama got the 14 in that scenario. What a joke.
I agree.
It's 1,000% based on who they'd match up with in the Super. 1,000%. But for A&M baseball, if you get one off of Arkansas, you're pretty comfortable to host. Obviously, that's not the goal. When you've lost back-to-back weekends, the goal is to get back on track and continue to defend your home turf like you have all season. And it's not going to be easy. I mean, Arkansas, very, very good. They pitch at a really high level. The A&M bats have been slowed the last 2 weekends, and it's going to be a dogfight. And you're going to see the best opposing pitcher since Paul Skeens towed the rubber here last year, come in this weekend in Hagen Smith. And it is electricity stuff. And it's going to be, to win on Friday night or in game 1 against Arkansas is a tall, tall task because of who they got taking the mound. And I'm not saying that A&M's, at a decisive disadvantage in that game, because when this offense is going good, they've got guys throughout that lineup and really at the top that will be drafted in the same area that Hagen Smith's about to be drafted. Right? So they've got the talent to do it, but good pitching always beats good hitting. I think the last couple of weeks we've seen a combination of A&M get out of themselves with their offensive approach and also get pitched really well.
Right.
I mean, at Ole Miss, in that game too, they got suffocated. I mean, it's like you looked up every time an A&M hitter came to the plate and it was 0-2 or 1-2 every time. And that's a combination of A&M being picky, but also I think they were I think they've gotten into this deal still. I think at LSU, Schloss talked about how we swung too much. So I think the adjustment was let's swing less, and then it got to the point where they were getting suffocated in counts, 0-2, 1-2, and you saw them a little bit more yesterday attack early in counts. Not sit there and wait. And they're getting pitched backwards a ton. And what that means is they are seeing 0-0 breaking ball, then 0-1 changeup, then 0-1-1 cutter. And to the opposing pitcher's credit, they're landing a bunch of these. So, like, changeups are typically not a strike-thrown pitch. They're a disconnect, get a ground ball pitch, or maybe even a swing and miss pitch. But they're typically not a land for a strike pitch. Now, if a guy can do it, it's certainly a huge advantage for him in his repertoire to face hitters. And A&M has seen a bunch of changeups that they've swung through and that have also been landed. So, like, that's tough. I think it's a combination of they have been getting pitched extremely tough. They've expanded the strike zone more than we've seen them do all year. And you have to tip your hat to the opposing pitchers because they are commanding. They're not only, like, throwing the ball where they want it and when they're in advantage counts, they're throwing the ball where they want it when the at-bat starts. And so they're getting ahead of these A&M hitters where it's 0-1 and everybody's like, man, why are we taking so many pitches for strikes early in counts? And I'm like, you can't just say that. You have to look at where the pitches are thrown and analyze what kind of pitch was it. Is that a pitch that Jace Lavalette hits well? No. Then why do you want him swinging at it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they cut down on the strikeouts yesterday for the majority. Like, the at-bats were a lot better. And yesterday I thought they blistered. I mean, he talked about Braden. I think Braden went like 105, 107, 107, and they were all hit into the shift for ground balls, where if there's no shift, he's probably got 3 hits. Schott had some really good at-bats. Teddy Burton scalded a ball to just dead away center. The kid made an unreal catch on. They hit some balls really hard yesterday that found gloves. Caden Kent had one that would have been a 2 RBI single in the top of the ninth. So I think yesterday was, while it wasn't Sunday at LSU where you exploded for 14, I thought yesterday they were much more like themselves at the plate in terms of the outcomes. Hitting the ball hard, much better with 2 strikes. But even still, like, I can go back and I was talking in the game thread. They had probably 4 or 5 where they at bats where they got to full counts and then chased in full count, right. Whether it was a swing and miss for a strikeout or a pop-up or a weak ground ball, and you're going, man, that's a ball. And you don't see Ali Camarillo, I think, like, these guys, when they haven't struggled in a while, and it's been a while since really the first of the season since Ali has struggled at the plate. Like, he's been sensational. But he's hit a lull here, and like Coach Schlossnagle said with Braden the week before at LSU, you try to swing your way out of it sometimes. And that can't be the mindset. Like, because Ali is so competitive and Braden's so competitive and all these guys, they want to get hits to get themselves out of these lulls, right? And that's normal. You can understand that. You're not a baseball guy, but you want to get hits.
Sure.
You can understand that mentality. And so what happens is I want to get hits so bad instead of just I want to have a great at bat so bad. There's a difference there. So if I want to get hits so bad, I'm going to be on swing more. So Ali yesterday got himself into some good deep counts. One time he chased on a breaking ball, down, swung and missed. The next time he chased on a fastball elevated, that would have been a ball, and he flew out. So, these guys that are just, it's a competitive thing.
Yeah.
And again, you'd rather it happen now than in 2 weeks.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So give us, I know we talked about it at the break, but for the audience, what this weekend could look like because of weather, how matchups could go, and when these games potentially, like what are some scenarios?
Yeah, Thursday looks like a wash. I mean, I don't know if you pulled up the radar or the forecast, but it's like 100% chance of rain Thursday all day. Friday, I think there's like a 50% chance half the day.
Right.
So there's a chance you could play 1 Friday night and then 2 on Saturday. Saturday looks clear. But I don't think Jim Schlossnagle or Dave Van Horn at Arkansas want to do that. I mean, Arkansas is fine. They've secured a double bye. But for A&M, the reason why you want to win one game, obviously, the most important thing is securing a national seed. But if you win one game, that ensures that no matter what Mississippi State does at Auburn, they can't catch you and pass you in the standings, which would then move them into fourth, and then A&M doesn't get the double bye in the tournament.
Right.
So there is a lot. There's a lot to play for A&M this weekend. And also, if A&M sweeps Arkansas, I don't expect it to happen, but if A&M can sweep Arkansas, they win the SEC West.
Because they had the tiebreaker.
No, they would move past. Yeah, they would have the tiebreaker. But if Arkansas wins one, that gets them to 20 SEC wins.
Yeah, there you go.
And A&M can't get there.
There you go. Yeah.
So A&M comes into the series 2 games behind, but it's a little bit different. They're 2 games behind. So if Arkansas wins one,
you can't catch them. That's what it is.
But Mississippi State, look, they're 2 games behind A&M. So if A&M doesn't get a win this weekend and Mississippi State goes to Auburn, the worst team in the league, if they get a sweep at Auburn and A&M gets swept at home, then Mississippi State goes past Texas A&M. So there's a lot riding on just – I know the goal for that team and that coaching staff is not going to be get one win at home. I know that. But you get one win, you secure a lot of things for your postseason regarding the SEC tournament and the regional, super regional.
Well, Brian, and not to call it they're a better team at home versus the road, but that's the SEC. That's who they are.
Right. I mean, and the reason why you're in this position where you only need one in the final weekend is because of what you did earlier in the year on the road at Bama, on the road at South Carolina. I mean, those were massive series wins. And you think about it, what happens if those one-run losses on Sundays turn around the other way? And now you're at 19, and you're 19 SEC wins. You're going into this weekend against Arkansas, and you're going, okay, whoever wins this series wins the West.
Well, by the way, if Friday you get one more hit in the 9th inning, how many times have we said that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even though they've struggled, they were still a swing away from winning this series.
And that's why I felt like on Saturday when they got beat, that's the first time we've seen them get beat like that. It was like, okay, like maybe that's the reset they needed. And Sunday – you can say, well, the offense wasn't – it was like a complete team performance. Sadeo, incredible.
Yeah.
Like if that – I don't know what y'all led the show with this morning, but if it wasn't Shane Sadeo,
we did something
right. I mean, that's a massive performance when his team needed it the most. But they got timely hitting. The double by Ted Burton, how big was that? I mean, what did that probably feel like for the dugout? The guy that's been out, he comes up in a second and third scenario where we've been struggling offensively, and he hits a double. Like, what do you think that did for the dugout? All right,
we're back.
Yeah, not necessarily we're back, but we're playing a complete team game here. This isn't the offense just bludgeoning somebody.
Right.
This is the pitching overwhelming the opposition. The defense was outstanding. How about the play Jace made to start the game yesterday?
There you go.
Incredible, right? And then the offense does enough with the timely hitting to win the game. So that was a complete team victory yesterday. And maybe the team needed to get beat up a little bit, like big time beat up, to reset themselves. Who knows? But it's a big weekend upcoming.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. I just called you buddy. I apologize. When we come back, another buddy of the show, we will talk to Boomer White here on TexAgs Radio. Right now, we're talking Milliken Reserve, farm-to-table community. They're in College Station. They got homes. Yeah, they do. They got trails. They got wide open spaces. And their mission is to build a healthy community around nature. And they've done that by treading lightly on the land that you can find Milliken Reserve on, creating a sanctuary for family, for nature, and for community, dedicated to that awesome conservation of a healthy community. Respect for the native landscape and wildlife. We're talking 2,600 acres of open space, farms, and trails out there. They connect families to nature and to each other with an extensive network of trails throughout a wooded landscape. You've got walking, you've got equestrian paths, creeks and ponds, and gathering areas. They want to maintain and restore that natural habitat, and they want to make sure that you know that these homes are found in preserved woods, ponds, and creeks out there with all the white-tailed deer, the songbirds, the rabbits, and turtles that you want to see. And if you want a house out there, the properties are amazing. You've got 3 awesome neighborhoods, the Creek, that are on 10-plus acre wooded estates. You've got the Hollow in a private and gated community, and you've got the Meadows in the responsive to their natural surroundings. Learn more, millikenreserve.com. That is millikenreserve.com. A lot of baseball this show, as warranted. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the hotline, talk to Boomer White, break it all down here over the weekend. Boomer, good morning, buddy. How you doing?
Good morning, David. I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to end the weekend with a win, similar to last weekend. It makes the rough weekend feel a lot better when you get that Sunday win.
Yeah, it sure does. So let's talk about it. Are you at a worried point? Are you just cautiously monitoring? Like, what would you say your worry meter's at?
Man, if I was at a 1 before LSU, I'm at like a 3.5 now. I don't know. 10 being I'm frightened out of my mind. I think where I keep going when I think about this team is kind of what I felt on Sunday or Saturday, Game 3 against LSU. I was texting with my dad, and he said, "Man, we just need a spark," and we got that spark. About one swing of the bat, and then we were off and running. And I feel like there's, dugouts can be contagious offensively, of course, and that can be contagious in a good or a bad way. And I think that when you see your best players and a bunch of first-rounders that are not having success like they've had all year, that can ripple effect throughout the dugout, and guys can go up there timid or feeling like, they don't have hope. But then you see one good thing happen, and then everything changes. And so I keep going back to that moment, and it's just like, you want to have that feeling at all times, of course. So how do you generate that? How does the offense go back to, having that confidence when they were, the best offense in America? So I think that's key, and however they get there, I don't know. But that's what I'm looking for in these next, 6-8 games.
We're going to go back and forth between good topics, bad topics. So we'll go to a really good topic. Shane Sadeo yesterday, really giving this team, I think, hope for a third starter.
Oh, my goodness, yes. And the talent's always been there. I think the guy threw his fastball about 89 to 92 miles an hour last year, and early on this year, he was lighting up the gun at 95, maybe even a 97. So I knew the jump was there physically, and his stuff was there. Just for some reason, left a few too many balls over the plate. So just kind of looking for him to piece it together. He had all three pitches working yesterday. The changeup was great. Fastball was great. So they've been looking for that third starter. He's been in a role where he could be a power arm coming out of the pen late, or he could be the guy to give you length. And so when he can give you length, then you can plug him in as a starter. And so I think that would give this pitching staff and Coach Max Weiner, Jim Schlossnagle, nothing but relief to be able to plug him in and have him kind of rise to the occasion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What do you think about offensively, the lack of walks that we saw this weekend, especially Friday, Saturday, and the amount of strikeouts?
It's worrisome, for sure. I think when guys press, that's where it really gets hard. You're not hitting the ball. You're not finding a barrel. You're not feeling, something good at the plate, so you're trying to go generate it yourself instead of kind of sticking to the plan that got you there. And so you just get on swing a little more. You miss your pitch in an at-bat, or you let one go that you should have gone after, and then you just start to press. You want to go make it happen instead of just letting it happen, I guess. So it is worrisome. I think that when this offense is going best, as Coach Schlossnagle says, you swing at the strikes, you take the balls, and they weren't doing that this weekend very well, and they didn't do it against LSU very well. So I think it's patience and not knowing that, and not feeling like you have to go generate a bunch of fireworks with your bats, rather than just let your talent generate it, when the opportunity is there, which is when the strikes come, you're ready to pull the trigger.
Talking to Boomer White here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. How about the difference that Teddy Burton makes? And Bronny in the last segment was talking about the big hit that he had yesterday. I don't know if sigh of relief is the right word, but just like, hey guys, we're doing what we do again.
Yeah, I mean, Ted Burton was on fire up until LSU, and he had that massive series against Georgia, and he's a veteran, and he's been there all year. So when all of a sudden you remove him, you lose protection on the guys in front of him. You're seeing someone new at first base. You're out of sorts, and so I think that when you've had the success that this offense has had, I mean, and you've had it with the same 6 or 7 guys all year at the plate, and one of them is taken away, there can be a little uneasiness, especially when that individual is taken away and then you see a little more failure in the offense. So I think that, I can vividly remember the feeling of, oh, so-and-so's back. Oh, our 4 holes finally off, the DL, and he's back in the lineup. Man, this is going to be good. We got him. And so I think that that's, something that these guys feel for Ted Burton is, okay, he was gone, now he's back. I don't care if he's 80%, Ted Burton's back. He's clutch. He's been hot. We got him back. And then talk about clutch, he gets the big hit. And I think there's just a sigh of relief, and everyone's like, oh, okay, now we're back to who we were. And even if it's not true, but they feel that way, that matters a ton.
I feel like because they lost the series, we really haven't spent time on what Ryan Brauninger, and I'm saying the show overall, but Ryan Brauninger even on days that A&M loses, that guy is pitching like an ace and had another a big day on Friday.
Yeah, well, I mean, how would you wouldn't guess that Ryan Brauninger would give up 2 earned runs in almost 6 innings and we would lose. Typically, we're smashing the ball for 6, 7, 8 runs, and offenses never lose games when pitching only allows 3 or 4 runs. So I think that got overshadowed because we lost and because the offense wasn't there that day. But, he's been outstanding at home, clearly. Prager's been one of the best in America when he toes the rubber at Bluebell. But on the road, he's been great, too. This was a big outing for him, I think, to go do it again on the road and maybe going to have one of his most exciting starts this upcoming Thursday. So he's kind of been Mr. Steady all year along with Evan Aschenbach. You just can take it to the bank that those 2 guys are going to give you their best, which they've been doing. Then I think you always feel like you got a fighting chance.
All right, let's set the tone for the scene for this weekend. Obviously, you want to win the series for multiple reasons. You have a chance to win the West. You want to get back on the right side. You want to defend your home field. Just talk about all the scenarios out there, especially this weekend against Arkansas before you head into the SEC tournament.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago we were feeling like, okay, this is going to be a battle for not only the SEC champion but the number 1 overall seed and just an electric atmosphere. And I think a lot of that still stands. I think that there's an additional, note factor point in there, and that is let's right the ship. Let's feel good at home. Let's get the number 1 top 5 team in America going where they were, and feel good going to Hoover. Yes, you want to go in the West. Yes, you want to go, of course, lock down a series win and a top 8 seed. But I think that, where the last 2 weekends have been, I think it's also morale. I think it's get in front of your crowd. Let's make sure that this crowd knows we're going to be here for regionals and super regionals. And we're still the juggernaut that everyone thought we were. And in the meantime, let's go beat an outstanding baseball team and have a lot of fun doing it in a great crowd and a great atmosphere. Just see how the cards shake out after that as you go into the postseason.
Boomer, I appreciate you, sir. We'll talk to you very soon, all right?
Yeah, thanks, David. Gig 'em.
Boomer White there on the hotline. And got a text from my buddy Philip saying he loved watching Boomer White play, wore his Aggie ring everywhere, just on the field, you name it. He's one of the best. Appreciate his time here on the program. Let's hit a break here when we come back around Aggieland with Kay Naegeli. But right now we're talking QC Kinetics. It is absolutely the worst time of year to not be able to move the way you want to move. It's just you want to be able to enjoy the summer with your family and with your friends. You want to do outdoor stuff like hiking. You want to go jogging. You want to play on the beach. You want to throw the ball with your kids. Like, you want to be able to do all that, but you've got joint pain that's stopping you from doing it. Don't go this summer without having the fun that you want to have out there. Call QC Kinetics right now and find out how they can use biologics from your own body to give you new life on your achy joints. I'm talking about those achy knees, your hips, your back, and your shoulders. They use protocols that can restore and repair that damaged tissue with no surgery, no steroids, no drugs, no downtime. It is the place to go. Tens of thousands of QC patients around the country are living their best life. And look, they're headed up by one of the best out there, Dr. Mitchell Shinecup, who's one of the pioneers in this industry, orthopedic surgeon who became the true leader in regenerative medicine. He knew there was a better way, and he found that better way. Call QC Connects right now for your free consultation for revolutionary treatments on joint pain. The phone number is 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000. Time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website, normandystatebank.com. And with that, we have Kay Naegeli.
Graduate. Kay
Oh, my
Naegeli.
goodness, girl.
I know. My ring is flipped. I was crying all weekend.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I graduated Thursday. 2:00 ceremony actually went by pretty fast.
Yeah?
We were out in like 2.5 hours.
All right.
Look at that.
We're proud of you.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate it.
we've said it on the show several times, but I'll say it again. Full-timer with TexAgs starting this week.
I know. I'm excited.
Proud of you.
I'm going to be working under Mr. David Nuño, so everybody pray for me.
Well,
I'm kidding.
I'm a mean boss. Hey, let's get into it because I know we've got women's tennis, we've got track, we had a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, I'm going to start with some track and field. So they were at the SEC Outdoor Championships this weekend, and they secured 10 medals, 5 which were gold, 2 silver, 3 bronze, along with 3 all-time marks, a school record, and 13 personal best showing. So shout out to Pat Henry and co. Just to read off some of these names, for the 5 gold medals were Liana Davidson in javelin, Tamara Chapman, heptathlon, Heather Abadi, pole vault, Victor Kibiago, something like that.
Kibiago.
In the 3,000 meter steeplechase, and then Sam Whitmarsh in the 800 meter. Silver, we had Caitlin Fairchild in javelin and Jaquelian Scott in the 110 meter hurdles, and then bronze, Lamara Diston, high jump, just another accolade for her. Connor Schulman, 110 meter hurdles, and then Jack Mann in pole vault. So congrats to the track and field team. Those are huge accolades, and they will hit the road again, traveling to Fayetteville, Arkansas for the NCAA West preliminary round. That is May 22nd through the 25th. So again, best of luck to them. And then we spoke on it earlier, number 19 men's golf will battle for a spot in the NCAA Division I Men's Golf Championship, as they are at the Stanford Regional. They got kicked off this morning, so we'll have updates, I'm sure, for y'all on that. And then additionally, women's tennis, just absolutely crushing it right now. The number 13 women's tennis team punched their ticket to the NCAA Tournament Elite 8 for the 3rd consecutive season. Absolutely nuts.
Let's go,
after
Mark.
upsetting the defending national champions, number 4 North Carolina, on Friday, 4-1. What an accomplishment for them. And they will play number 5 Virginia on Friday.
On Friday, okay.
On Friday, and I believe it's not at Virginia, but it is somewhere on the road. So best of luck to them.
Let's win a national championship, ladies. Can we do that?
We need one. Some
We
one
need-
this year.
I would like more than one, but
Well,
yes. But let's
yeah.
get one.
Maybe let's cross that bridge when we get there. And then
Eric,
also,
can you help us?
We got y'all.
Okay.
And then just want to mention it has not been mentioned. I'm sure Billy will talk about it. Kobe Sellers committed over the weekend.
That's big news, yeah.
He is a Shadow Creek cornerback. He had offers from Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan, many more, and chose to continue his academic career with the Aggies. So big get for Mike Elko.
Go penis.
What?
What do you think?
Oh, great. I love it.
Yeah?
You took off the hat, though.
Yeah, I'm not. I
You're not
can't
a
wear
big
hats
hat
for a
guy.
long.
I saw you went forward, then backward,
Well,
and
my
then
kids will tell you when I go if I wear a hat, it's like I start here and side. I'll do the
OB
Nicky Jam.
had the full side hat rocking.
Yeah, with the hair under it. Yeah.
Like
Rumor has it you might have one too.
maybe.
Potentially. All right. Thank you, Kay.
Of course.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, I hate when I do that voice. Billy Liucci should be in studio. That and more. We'll get to your text messages, maybe some SEC updates, that and more. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. So I'm not part of the gambling community. I don't go to the meetings, Nick, but I just saw a tweet pop up. I think you'd be interested. Circus Sports. This is from SEC Mike, but he's updating what Circus Sports, which is Circa Las Vegas, is a betting app, I guess it is. I don't know. I'm not a part of the community.
Where's Matthew when you need him, right?
Right. He's part of that team. It's got 2024 SEC over and under win totals updated. Okay. And I'm going to give you A&M's.
Okay.
The number is 8.5, and I like that number.
Did that go up, I think? At least I feel like it went up from the last time we talked. Maybe it was 7.5. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think there have been some at 7.5. This one's got A&M at 8.5, and I think it's a great number because they should be somewhere between 9 and 8 wins. Yes, we want 10. Yes, we want 11. I have to always tell people that. Yes, but with the unknowns, and there's a lot of unknowns, I think it's a fair number. But I'm going to give you some of the other ones, and I just want initial noise reaction. All right?
Okay.
Nick, Georgia 10.5.
Fair. Over, I guess. Are you asking me?
No, I mean, it's whatever. You can answer whatever you want.
10.5. I'd go over.
Texas 10.5.
I'd have to see their schedule, but
that seems pretty high, doesn't it?
I think they're going to be a 10-win team.
Okay.
So maybe I guess I'd be taking the under then.
See, I'm more bullish on Ole Miss than I am on Texas.
Where are they?
Ole Miss and Alabama 9.5.
Ole Miss and Alabama 9.5. I'll take the over on Bama, under on Ole Miss.
Okay. Missouri, LSU, Tennessee here listed at 9 wins on the year according to Circus Sports.
Get Billy's thoughts on that.
Yeah, we'll get Billy's thoughts on that as he's walking in. We'll get talk football. Hey, buddy.
Put that hat back on, please.
Why?
Because it looked good.
You know I'm not a hat guy. I mean, I'm a hat-ish guy.
It looked good. And
Did
now
it?
You got your hair's all slick.
Well, it's just water. Just water.
What'd you do? Oh, you wanted to fix it because you had the hat on?
Oh, I had hat hair. It was like everywhere.
Here, try it on.
Okay. The backwards way, how I was doing it for a little
bit?
No,
straight.
Yes, I am.
Private Nuño, drop and give me 20.
You know, I'll do 20 on the desk right now.
Private Yoda, why are your pants so tight, sir?
You made fun of me for having baggy pants.
Sir, I have unusually large calves, sir.
This is true. I can't argue that. I don't even have short hair anymore. I've been growing the
What
sides
did
out. What's so funny?
What'd you do to that hat?
What am I supposed to do?
You curved it so much.
It was already curved.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just put it on. I didn't do anything. You want me to go?
No, not
OB?
straight, Bill. No.
Okay. There you go.
It changed a lot just with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
was gonna wear the
this.
gray one. I was gonna wear the gray one in, and I saw this morning, and
there you go.
I'm gonna go with this. I love these.
They're great, aren't they?
And I really love that.
This is fantastic.
Oh man, I'll probably buy a couple more on
gonna
Thursday.
go Thursday.
Well, I'm not. Unfortunately, I have planned poorly. I'm going to the AMC Awards show in Dallas at the Star.
AMC.
I don't know.
American Music.
ACM.
ACM. What is
American Country Music.
Oh,
I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of really good people performing. But I did that and then was actually telling Slosh about it a few weeks ago, and he goes, "Yeah, it's good. You miss, Prager versus Hagen Smith Thursday." And I was like, "What?" And I knew that they're Thursday game, but I specifically thought I looked, but those tickets weren't cheap, so we're going there Thursday.
And we'll see what the
have
weather
Friday.
does.
Yeah, that's true. I might get double header with Friday. Have Saturday Troubadour Fest Saturday night, or I'll be going early for the barbecue, late for the
Travis Tritt.
Oh man, I can't wait.
It's gonna be good.
By the way, for those listening, I was sending out. So I'm working out yesterday. Nuño, you'd be proud of me because I was like, well, I'm going to miss Thursday for sure. And probably Friday. And maybe Saturday. But I was like, so I went this weekend, and yesterday working out, if you can jam while working out to Steve Warner and Travis Tritt and Tracy Lawrence, and that's exactly what I was doing.
Were you?
90s country, slow, great workout. You don't know anything about Steve Warner, do you?
No. I know Steve Miller.
Some Fools Never Learn.
Oh, don't know. I mean, I might know.
I'm going to play it for
but
you.
But you do realize
what?
I have become country
I
enthusiast.
should leave you alone.
Shane Smith
You
of the
got
Saints.
a heart like a stone. I want to see Steve Warner in town. I think he was here like in the last year, and I missed him.
Aggie baseball? No.
What about it?
Oh, by the way, you can get this at Bluebell and 12man.com.
I love the shirts too, and I had to try it on. I don't know which one I like more. I like them both, but gray or maroon.
Well, in the summer, I sweat a little bit, so I'm more maroon, so you can't necessarily.
If I'm rating, I go 1, 2. I like the gray shirt. This one, gray shirt 2. I like that hat if you don't private Nuño it. And then, right, let me see now. Yeah. World of difference. Go look at the first hour. And my favorite part of the show so far today has been when he fell asleep back there. He's tired. He's setting records all weekend. He comes
tennis?
in here. Yeah. I got to have that clipped. And then all of a sudden he goes, North Carolina. Wow. Great.
It was one of those. I was like, he wasn't ready. It happens to me all the time. Or I'm reading an email. What did he ask?
Yeah,
I didn't hear what he said. I was going to say something outlandish just to get through it.
I know. So let's talk baseball. And I want to talk a little softball today, too.
Are you upset about that? Because I am.
We'll start with softball. Here's my thing, because it's not just softball. And congratulations to Coach Ford and that team and what they've accomplished already this year. And they're not done. But they got a colossal screw job there.
I did.
In the fact that, look, everybody's talking about the fact that they drew Texas and that the committee is constantly lazy, constantly trying to set up these matchups. And I get it. And they are. And they do it in every sport. It's one of the reasons I'm really happy. See, the Longhorn fans in their warped heads, and they came at me again this week. The couple of ones that I don't really care for, not the ones that we have the good fun banter.
Right.
But they come at me, and it's like, listen, guys, this is not about not wanting to play Texas. It's about the fact that Texas is the best team in the country. It's them and OU. Texas A&M, during the course of a season, performed far better than a lot of teams seeded in front of them in this tournament. So it's not, if A&M would have eked into the 16 seed, you'd be just happy to host a regional no matter who you play. And that's probably how Coach Tricia Ford and the team feel, because they're competitors. It's why I'm glad Texas is joining the SEC. There are reasons that I didn't like. Those are long since past after they've gotten to kind of cruise on through the Big 12 like they have. For example, look at their baseball team this year. They've gotten it handed to them by everyone, but they've played in this crappy Big 12 that is not even close to the league they're about to join, the league that has just pummeled them the last few years. And they haven't, so they've just cruised and built momentum, got into rhythm, had time to kind of find themselves, knowing you're not going to not make the tournament because you can't lose that many games against these teams in this league. And I'm not saying there's not a couple good teams at the top. Hell, A&M went and lost twice in Omaha to OU a couple of years ago. They beat Texas, though, but they lost twice to OU. So there's some teams, but the league is nowhere close, so it gives you time. I'm ready for them to come into the SEC in all sports. And I do think they're going to come in and be highly competitive in football from day one. I think they've done a great job of building an SEC-ready football team. And they're coming from a great basketball league, no doubt. But I think in sports like baseball, softball, even though they're the best, right? And I think they are the best, right? I think they're better than OU, even though OU just beat them. But baseball, softball, all these sports are infinitely tougher. The tennises, the golf, with the exception of probably volleyball. But in everything but volleyball and probably in basketball, they're infinitely tougher. And I would say it's pretty even basketball-wise. I'll give the Big 12 the edge just because they've always been a better league.
Right.
It's pretty close nowadays. The SEC has done a great job of becoming a better conference. You bring Texas and OU over, it probably officially overtakes it. But, I don't mind. I'm all for playing them every year in every sport. What I'm tired of is the NCAA forcing the matchup where it doesn't need to be forced. You know, like that's my thing. Like if you want to put Texas as a 2 seed in this baseball regional, I'm not going to throw. It's going to be like, yo, here's another example. It's just annoying. Here we go again. But I understand that one more. A&M's a 1 seed. Texas is a 2 seed. Now it'll depend how high up A&M is and how high up Texas is. You know, I don't want Texas A&M being a 4 national seed and playing one of the top 3 2 seeds.
Right.
That's not proper seeding. That's doing it because it's convenient. This went way beyond that. This was deliberate, strategic, because you look at the numbers and you look at the teams in front of the Aggies. You look at like a Florida State, their resume doesn't compare. You especially look within the league.
Bama.
This team finished 3rd in the conference, and they're the 7th seeded SEC team. They finished 3rd. And Bama in specific, where they went to Bama, won a series up there, finished higher than them in the conference. It's pretty ridiculous where they were, but here's the thing no one's talking about. They got like double shafted because another team that got screwed out of probably a national seed was Texas State, who beat A&M. I don't know if they split with Texas or beat Texas, but I know they gave Texas all they wanted. That's a really good Texas State softball team. So not only is A&M getting the best 1 seed, you know, the best team in the tournament, the 1 seed, if they go to the Supers, to get there, they've got to beat a team that probably should be hosting in their own right. So they did them no favors, but all you can do is go out there and play and try to win.
Beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what would be a greater statement for this program than to go into Austin and force a game 3 or even better, knock off Goliath, because that's what their softball program is right now.
So I said earlier, and I just want your thought, I don't think it's a conspiracy against A&M, although
No,
I
think
wonder.
I think it's lazy.
Yeah.
Not against that. They don't want A&M out of the tournament and say, hey, let's put them against Texas or OU, the two. It's lazy, and it's not doing the job the way you're supposed to do it. If you're a committee, you're supposed to seed the teams 1 to 16 based on who's the best team and who's the 16th best team and everybody in between. And if anything factors in that changes you off of doing that, then either you're a crappy committee member or the sport sucks and it needs to be fixed, because that's not how college sports should go. It is what it is. Like, but I think A&M should have been more in the, if you look at those, like the 12, 13 range, much less 16. So it's not about playing Texas. They could have been 15th and playing OU, and I would have thought they kind of got a raw deal. Anything lower than 14 to me, I would have said something.
Yep.
But I thought they would have been in that 12, 13 range.
All right, let's start baseball on the positive. Shane Sadeo, freaking lights out, man.
They needed it. Damn, they needed it. And he came through. And these 2 Sundays, look, we sat there talking, Nuño, all year. Not all year, but at South Carolina, at Alabama, Georgia. These are Sunday games where A&M had an opportunity to sweep. 2 of them on the road, and they couldn't do it. And we came away and we're like, okay, great. You know, you won an SEC series. Just keep stacking the series wins, and that is great. But those were wins that if you had them back now, you're 100% locked into a top 8 seed, which I still think they're going to get, but you're 100% locked in there. You're still very much in contention, not just for the West that I don't know. I mean, that's great. I'll talk about that in a minute. You're in contention for the West, but also you're still probably right. Win 2 of those 3, and you're probably right there for the SEC. You are right there in contention for the SEC title, which I think is a much bigger deal. I still don't think either one of them matters too much, particularly the West. I think winning an SEC championship, you want to look up at the end of the year and win X number of SEC titles in X number of sports. I also think it gives you a leg up if you're fighting a fellow conference team for a seeding spot. I do think that matters. But in this sport and basketball, you know, in a lot of these playoff sports, you want to win the SEC championship. coaches want trophies, players want rings, and that's the cool part about it. But it's more about what you do in the postseason. If you win this league, though, you've positioned yourself. And they've had, when we were talking about those Sunday games, we're going, damn, they lost by a run. They lost by 2 with the tying or winning run up. You know, like they were so close. You wish you'd been able to finish those sweeps out, right? But at the same time, these last 2 Sundays have been really significant for Jim Schlossnagle and this baseball team because, you know, after the losing 2, you look up and you no show on a Sunday and you get swept. This conversation we're having is a lot different if they lost the 2 Sundays to LSU and Ole Miss. Now you're talking about back-to-back sweeps on the road, 7 straight SEC losses, and you probably are out of the top 8. So these 2 games were big. I still think if the season ended today, I think they'd be a top 4 seed overall. Maybe they need to go win 2 out of 3 against Arkansas to make that happen. I still feel good about them getting a top 8. I feel good about them coming home and playing better.
Yeah.
They didn't play good in Oxford. They didn't play well at LSU. And it's not – I mean, Saturday in Oxford, I thought they played bad baseball. Friday –
They had their chances.
No, Friday they didn't hit well. They struck out too much, and Ole Miss pitched really well. Well, guess what? They lost by a run. You know, like the 2 games they lost against LSU and one of the 2 against Ole Miss, we're talking about they're a clutch hit away from winning those games or one at bat. You know, you don't let the LSU guy hit the opposite field double, you probably win that game. You know, and they're that close. And I'm not saying they were going to sit there and go 5-1 these 2 weekends, but I am saying they were that close to winning both series. Ole Miss on Friday night. Was it Saturday? The Aggies jumped out 3-0 and lost 6-4 to LSU. They were that close, playing far from their best baseball. And without Teddy Burton for a lot of that. And they were that close to winning those 2 series. At LSU, at Ole Miss, and both those teams really hungry. And by the way, the only close games in there, they clubbed them both on Sunday. And I know LSU was up 3-0 Sunday, and I know that Ole Miss game was really close, and had that guy gotten about another 4 feet on that baseball, the Aggies would have been down 3-1 just like that. Great catch by Braden. But that's a combined Sunday score of what, 20-4? So the 2 of the 3 blowouts were in A&M's favor. Those Sunday wins by the Aggies were really significant. But we all know they have to play better baseball than they've been playing. We all know that they have. It's an interesting dynamic right now, you know. And if I've got a gripe that doesn't have to do with the baseball team, if I've got a request of A&M fans, and I think it's a lot of the younger ones, but it's not just young. If you're going to go on Twitter, like, it's fine, like,
you can be frustrated.
You can be frustrated. You have the things you want to complain about. Cut the line off at talking through your feelings throughout a game, throughout a weekend. Like, you don't need to type out your feelings. I felt like Aggie Twitter was so negative towards a baseball team that, like, where they're at right now and understanding a season, and you look at our thread, it's worse, actually, because then there are people attacking other people. And by the way, y'all are going to ruin a good thing on that in-game thread if a few of you don't stop. Like, you don't have to go at players mercilessly, players that have had tremendous years, because they're in a bad stretch. Like I said, like, this is realistic now. Don't say, oh, you're over-policing the boards, or, oh, you know, we can't criticize. I read that stuff. My ass. Go read the whole thread. There's plenty of criticism, and it's legitimate and at times warranted. Even if A&M's undefeated and at this point in the season, and you're undefeated in football, you're 8-0, and you go out and give up 3 touchdowns on the first 3 possessions, nobody expects you to be positive. But just have a little sense of big picture, and don't make it so extreme. Like,
you don't need to make it personal.
Well, definitely don't make it personal with your fellow posters. Don't make it personal with
players,
coaches, whatever. Like, because you guys are going to be the ones that are right back on when things are going well. And you just act like none of that ever happened, but there are families that read it. There are fans that, and your fellow Aggies that you're on there, trashing that, not that you really care, but going, hey, I don't like that poster anymore. I don't want to interact with him. I think he was ridiculous after the Ole Miss loss.
I'm sure, like me, like I don't like to be around negative people, like in my real life, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean I need to be around everybody optimistic and rosy. No, you can be disappointed.
And listen, the last 2 weekends have been disappointing.
Yeah.
Not because A&M lost a series. I mean, that we always want to see them win. So, yeah, disappointing, lose, happy, win. That's the most basic way you can put it. But the world is not crumbling, and that was the vibe. And if I'm reading Twitter and I'm going, man, this is like we've got a team that's not even going to make the tournament. No, that's LSU. That's Ole Miss. That was Mississippi State the last 2 years. That's Florida this year. That's Auburn, who was in the Final Four with A&M 2 years ago. They're in like dead last. I mean, that's Vandy who's fighting to make the tournament. That's not Texas A&M. Texas A&M right now is a top 8 seed.
Yep.
They're with the way things went around college baseball this week. I don't know what are they ranked right now. They're ranked
5, I believe, is what it was.
Okay, this is a top 5 team. They're about to play a top 5 showdown in the final weekend of the regular season.
With a chance at the West.
There's plenty to be positive about. If you want to say, I get it, like, hey, I'm really concerned about the bats. They're striking out a lot at a bad time. It's not the worst time. And I'm not saying that they won't be striking out at the worst time. That's the concern. It's like, when are they going to snap out of this slump at the plate? It's team-wide. They've made a few errors at costly moments. The pitching, I won't talk about pitching in a second, but you're going, who's your second starter? Who's your third starter? Now, hopefully, Sadeo, with the way he's pitched these last 2 weekends, including yesterday's incredible start, maybe we got that answered. But if you got questions and your concern level has gone up the last 2 weekends, I would say, why wouldn't it? It should. At the same time, I'm not – people want to criticize, too, the it's baseball guy. But, guys, there's truth to that, and I could give you 700, maybe thousands of examples over the years of it's baseball.
Yep.
You just have to – what this team is trying to do is get some positive momentum back and get to play here at home in the postseason. Make their path to Omaha go right through that stadium across the street. Go right through Bluebell Park. If that happens, A&M's chances to get there are as good as just about anyone. So that's to me, the priority right now, this weekend. And again, man, you look at their RPI, you look at what they've done this season, you look at some of their series wins, I think they're fine. But if you look at it and go, man, they don't have a ton of time to snap out of it, I'd say, yeah, that's true. But go look around and see how fast teams snap out of it. A&M lost 2 series in a row. Arkansas heading in this weekend had lost, 2 out of 3 series.
That's right.
LSU won the Natty last year. They lost 2 out of 3 series in a row. Tennessee rolled like a freight train in the postseason a couple years ago. Didn't make it out. It didn't make it to Omaha. We're 1 month away from the start of Omaha. Couple days. It's 15th, right? It's 13th today. I think it starts June 15th. We're a month from the time first pitch is in Omaha. Now, I understand they got to play better between now and then, but they've got all week practice to get ready. They got a heated series against Arkansas that I think is going to elevate the level of play here with the fans and with that competition coming in. Then you got the SEC tournament, hopefully a few games, hopefully not too many, by the way. And then you got a regional super. I mean, there's all kinds of time. These teams that think they're rolling right now might be the same ones that,
So you look at the totality
take,
of
for
the
example,
season.
take Texas, for example. Take Georgia, for example. Those are two teams that are like kind of like stock up, although I think Texas is doing it against far lesser opposition. Go lose a Saturday, or Texas will be a 2 seed. Go lose your first game to a 3 seed. See where that momentum goes, like that. Have your starter come out and not make it through the second, like that. And that's an issue with A&M, and that's still my biggest concern. I think the bats come around, like we were saying. You've got, 50-plus games, almost 55 games worth of evidence. And I understand, focused on the here and now, but that is still a 55.
Still part of the story.
It's still a 55-game body of work.
Yep.
So I would look at the 55 games and say they should be able to change this at home. But I look at the pitching, and I am going, we're looking earlier this year, thinking who's going to be that fourth starter in a regional if you need it. Or now you're saying who's a second, and you're excited about Sadeo, but then you're like, then who's the third? And what about Lampkin? And what about Tanner Jones? And you got guys that are struggling that are going to have to start in the postseason, and you don't know where they're going to be and if they can get you through a second inning. My goal before this weekend was that those Saturday, Sunday guys got through 4. That was a modest goal, I thought. They didn't do it on Saturday, but then Sadeo came out and did that and then some on Sunday. So it was a little bit of a mixed bag.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back whenever you go to Bluebell Park here over the weekend and you're looking for the old Sarge hat and the shirts that are going to be out there. Make sure you stop by Costa Vida there, the concession stand there on the third base line there at Bluebell. Their menu consists of chili lime chicken and sweet pork burritos, and they also have sweet pork baja bowls. They have chips, they have queso, they have key lime pie. It's delicious food there. So when you go there to Bluebell, make sure you stop by and get yourself some Costa Vida. And if you're out and about around town, or if you live in South College Station or even in Bryan, doesn't matter, go out to South College Station location there. They have the home run combo in store there, a favorite of Jace Lavalette and Ryan Targach. That home run combo is an entree with sweet pork enchiladas smothered in house-made queso, rice and beans, and a large drink, all for $11.99. It is fresh mixed done the right way. Their menu is fantastic when you go there in store. Always get the tortilla soup. It's very, very good out there. And they have breakfast tacos in the morning, so if you're ready to have a morning meeting and need to get some coffee, you go to Costa Vida and get it done. Aggie owned and operated. Go say hi to Holly for us when you go out there. 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. It's Costa Vida. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. David Nuño, Billy Liucci here in studio. Let's talk a little bit about Colby Sellers picking A&M over Oklahoma and Texas.
That's a big one out of the Houston area. Anytime you beat what are now a couple of your SEC rivals for a prospect, it's a big deal. And it's a position of need. I've been really impressed, I said, with what A&M's doing on the offensive line and in the secondary thus far. And these last couple additions at corner, one from Houston, one from the state of Arizona, damn, they're impressive. And Shadow Creek, I'm glad to see A&M get in there. That's just been a rising program these last few years, just an emerging powerhouse down there outside of Houston. And so, I like getting anybody out of there. I like the fact they've gotten two really good defensive backs now between him and Petway from Houston.
Yep.
Those are two of the top three DBs in that city. And I think they've got a great shot to get the third one from Galveston Ball, who everybody's been talking about lately as A&M's trending, whatever that means. I mean, I think the Aggies have put themselves in a good spot, but those 5-star recruitments are hard to close out.
Yep.
If you said, hey, Billy, make your prediction right now, I'd make that prediction, but I wouldn't. There are other predictions I'd make ahead of that one, but I do feel good about them potentially going clean sweep in the Houston area for those guys. But with Sellers, he's just a pure, you watch him play, he's very fluid, just makes it smooth and easy looking, and they're just upgrading the athleticism, the speed, the caliber of player on that back end very, very quickly. If you look at what they did via the portal, particularly with a young guy like Des Ricks, you look at a young guy like Dalton Brooks, Bryce Anderson still has a couple years left. What they're doing with the younger dudes back there in the secondary has really caught my eye, particularly in this class. That you've got to. It's the one area, David, that I have over the years since A&M's joined the SEC. I think it's been their weakest position competitively, and it's not a knock on everyone that's played the position. There's been some good ones, but over a 12-year period where they have matched up the least in this conference is the Aggie cover corners versus the SEC wide receivers. Yep. And they have lost so many games, in my opinion, because those guys on the island can't cover the top playmakers in the SEC that, by the way, make things rough on even good corners. But that has been an area where A&M has had a nightmare matching up with the LSU receivers, the Bama receivers. Even when Georgia wasn't scoring and A&M went out there, it was Pickens yanking people by their face mask and making catches. Clemson, and those receivers in those 2 years where they're throwing up jump balls and the receivers are outperforming your DBs. Ole Miss the last couple of seasons. So, yeah, I mean, I think if there's been an area where A&M is in the most need of a dramatic turnaround night and day and upgrade, it's at in the secondary, but particularly at corner. They've actually had some really good safeties since joining the SEC. And so Colby Sellers, I think, is a big step in that direction. And I think if you look what they're doing just in the secondary in general, and not to mention the guys, there's a couple of them out there that you still feel really good about. I think this is going to be an elite secondary class. And then I think Elko and company will take a look at what's left on campus after this season versus the guys that are graduating, and then they can revisit that as well and see what they're going to do in the portal. But clearly David had made the same assessment upon getting here. When you look at all the DBs they added in the portal, and when you look at, again, like I almost count a Des Ricks. I almost count Des Ricks amongst these guys that you're recruiting right now because he's in his second year of college right now.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll get back on the clock. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. When we come back, I want to reset a topic from Friday and see if Billy's had to change it hard or not. It's TexAgs Radio. So America's against me, Billy. You were the radio host on Friday. You brought up a great topic.
The host.
No, you had a great topic.
When I
the 9-3, 10-2 conversation. Josh Pate's against me.
I saw that.
My brother's against me.
My SEC Mike.
Is he against me too?
He's waged war on your ass.
No.
No, he likes you. But I think he was against you.
Josh Pate would destroy all of us in a fight, for the record, just so everybody knows.
You would think, unless Pate's just such a good dude.
Yeah,
man.
he doesn't fight.
I don't know if he'd finish
he's
you
like
off.
Pastor Pate.
No, I don't know if he's Pastor Pate.
I feel like he's pastor-ish.
No.
He's a great guy. But anyway, I've had some time to think about it.
Pastor Troy?
Pastor Troy was a rapper that I didn't listen to.
North Carolina. I think that was
that him?
I think so.
So
Maybe
I've
not.
had time to reflect, and while I want for you guys to be right, I'm still right. If you're 10-2, you're in the playoffs.
I said no. That was not. Now
That's part of it.
You're moving the damn target.
No.
Yes, you are.
You can't. If you're 10-1 heading into that game against Texas, you are going to the playoffs. That's a fact. Little John.
That's Pastor Troy, North
pass.
Carolina. And they also have, he was also got, We Ready.
That was a good song. That's a football song.
So, no, the point was you're not in the playoff. That made it harder to decide.
Then still, 10-2 is better than 9-3.
By the way, the Texas fans just dying to. They just want to shoehorn, themselves into everything they can in terms of like trying to find like, oh, listen to them claiming A&M's going to go 10-2 or undefeated.
It's a topic, bro.
It's an off season, man. I encourage any of you to get your own radio show, graduate from the podcast, get a successful podcast. Go talk to your local radio station, get a show, and go through a whole off season and see if you don't ever get in the realm of hypothetical, no matter how good, how bad, how in between your team is. And you folks in Austin know what I'm talking about when I say how good, how bad, how in between. We all do. We all know what's gone on there too. But I would take the 9-3 if you open the season beating Notre Dame, generated all that excitement, start the season in front of the whole country, introducing the Mike Elko era, and then go beat Texas in your final game of the season. And if you told me you were going to lose 3 in between versus losing those 2 and going 10-2, I would say I'd rather do the 9.
Well, America agrees with
now, but I said you wouldn't go to the playoff. And I know this is hypothetical, and I know A&M would probably go to the playoff, especially if you beat Texas in that final game, because I do think Texas is going to be not the best, but really good this year. I think they're going to be right there they'll probably be in the playoff field with whether it's 0-1 or 2 losses even. But if you go 10-2, okay, my point is you can go 10-2 and miss the playoffs in the SEC. That is still a possibility because Ole Miss, you don't play. They could go 10-2 or better. Georgia, I'm going to go 10-2 or better. And Texas certainly could do it. Alabama can do it. I'm not saying that all 4 LSU could probably do it. I don't think they will. I think they're a little overrated. But
they had this easier schedule.
Any of those 4, not to mention a Missouri. There's 5 teams, in my opinion, that could finish 10-2 or better this year. And if A&M were to replace one of them, you could be 10-2 and be 5th on that peck. Somebody would be. I mean, I haven't just studied the schedule of who plays who and who could do it. But most certainly Ole Miss, Georgia, and Texas, without studying who plays who, could do it, and then A&M would be the 4th team.
Well, let me ask you that, because if you're 10-2 with those losses to Notre Dame and Texas, that would include a win over LSU, a win over Missouri.
And that's probably all that would really matter of your wins.
Yeah.
So your resume would be, okay, you might beat an 8-4 LSU team. They lose to A&M. You might 9-3. Oh, they beat 9-3 LSU, and they beat 9-3 Missouri. Now you're comparing resumes to other teams, not just within your league, but around the country. I think any SEC team will get in at 10-2. I bet 80% of the time they would.
Can you see a 9-3 team getting in?
Yeah, at some point I could. But problem with that is how many of these SEC teams are going to be ahead of you when you finish 9-3. And then how many of these teams in the Big Ten are going to be 10-2, 11-1? Is there going to be a Clemson or a Florida State sitting at 11-1? Is there going to be, a Big 12 team that's 11-1 and wins the Big 12 title? So they're getting,
So you think 4 SEC teams will be the norm, though? If 2 got in, typically, not always, typically, with a 4-team playoff, with a 12-team playoff,
I think that number is typically going to be
4 to 5.
Oh, I don't think you get 5 typically. No.
3 to 4. Yeah. And then Big 10 also 3 to 4.
So there you go.
No. All right. When we come back, I'm glad you mentioned those teams because I started reading Nick the Circus Sports over and unders, and it kind of matches what you just said there. So we'll get into that when we come back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Time to end the day with Double Dave's. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with that pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on the way. As a reminder, they're not open on Monday, so make you wait for it until tomorrow. Billy, you were walking in studio, but I wanted to start off with baseball with you. But I'm going to read this to you. SEC Mike posted the over and unders Circa Sports, which is a sports book, and it has Georgia and Texas at 10.5, Bama and Ole Miss 9.5, Missouri, LSU, Tennessee 9, Texas A&M 8.5.
That sounds fair.
There's always a pause.
That sounds fair.
I think exactly right. I think that's fair.
A&M 8.5 is a tough one for me. That's a tough one. I wouldn't even put any of that bet down yet because, you want to see what they're looking like to start fall camp. Like, get a Shamar Turner out there on defense. Get a Des Riggs. You have a potential new starter at linebacker coming in. Let he and Damian Sanford compete there. You could have gone the whole spring, and there's the possibility that you went through spring without 3 of your 11 defensive starters, and your defense looked pretty good. Even getting Jones at safety from Central Michigan, who you didn't have out there. So there's a lot to be added. And by the way, Terry Bussey, there's a lot to be added to that defense that was already kind of ticking upward as we close out spring. And then offensively, I just want to get a little bit of a more of a look-see on the O-line and what do they look like when you settle in on a starting 5. Obviously, a healthy Connor Wigman, and then I think I'd really reevaluate where I'm at with it. Yeah. I really would. I'm not ready to evaluate their chances of going 9-3 in season 1. Which I know everybody wants a lot more than that. And I'm not, again, I said I thought this team's realistic ceiling, would be to win 10 and then go win a New Year's 6, like an 11-2 type of season. Not like every team's ceiling is 12-0. And look, if you break me down game by game, A&M can play with any of the teams on their schedule. They should. And the toughest ones on that schedule are at home. That bodes well for the Aggies. But I got to see more to decide where I would predict them to fare against some of these teams. Missouri, Texas, LSU, Notre Dame in the opener, at Auburn, at Florida. What's their level to avoid stubbing their toe? Wow.
He's looking at his phone, isn't he?
It's okay. He's off right now. He's been off today. He had a big weekend.
North Carolina, wow.
Eric set a record this weekend, dude. Cut him a little slack.
Are you playing solitaire back there as well?
So, I don't know. I think we want more, right? And I think I don't see enough people going if Mike Elko took a team in the SEC in year 1 to 9-3, and especially if he got a bowl game, I mean, what are we talking about that's even a discussion if that wasn't a great year? And I know, to say 8-4 is not where you want to set your standard. Nobody wants to hear that. They don't want, everybody's dying to be able to say Texas 8-4, but the reality is Jimbo Fisher went 8-4 and won a bowl game in his first year. We felt pretty damn good about that. We actually felt really good. And that's not to say, well, look how it turned out, because at that time, that was a really good first season. Steve Sarkisian went 5-7 in his first season in the Big 12. You go back to a Nick say, you look at Hugh Freeze at Auburn. Hugh Freeze at Auburn last year. It's tough. What was Lane Kiffin's first year at Ole Miss? Everybody's so on his. What are they doing? What does they say? Glazing. What was Kiffin in his first year at Ole Miss?
6 wins, maybe.
That
7
was.
wins?
I think that was 2020, and they were 6-4 or 5-5. Maybe I don't know. So point being, What was Kirby Smart's record year one at Georgia? I believe it was 7-5. So in this conference, man, it's tough.
He went 5-5 in 2020.
Okay. Brian Kelly won the West in his first year, and that was a great year. He also lost 3 regular season games. If A&M under Mike Elko goes 9-3 this year, that they're going to have won some pretty freaking significant ball games along the way, and they're going to be a team that people talk about, going, okay, wow, that's going to excite people enough that this NIL machine moving forward is going to be really good. He's already showing what he's doing on the recruiting front with this coaching staff, that they're exceeding outside expectations. They've got some real momentum right now, pushing into the top 10 with this class. You saw what they did in the portal with no momentum. I think that's only going to go up. So, yeah, if they can get there and be on that over line, look out.
No music. Goodbye. They usually play music.